And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico Lagan, and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token liberal. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it's possible for a lefty and a righty to not only get along, but to be able to have a civil conversation when we disagree. Because never forget, common sense has no political affiliations. Fuck, I almost forgot it again.
Because never
Don't
forget dramatic pause.
No, it was
Common.
not as much as I wish it was a dramatic pause. It was my retarded brain.
Never forget. Oh shit, I forgot.
What am I supposed to not forget again?
Yeah.
Fuck.
You got
Fuck,
trimmed
fuck,
up the
fuck.
facial hair there. Looks sharp.
Yeah, you know, you'll see. We've known each other for about 5 months.
Oh yeah,
now,
I've
and
seen
I've
like
already
6
had
different
like
styles. Yeah.
yeah. The problem with this is, goddamn, I look douchey. Holy fuck!
I actually like it. I like it.
This is more normally what I have. Like I often have like a beard like yours, but
Yeah.
super trim, but not like you. Like you keep it fuller.
Yeah.
I shape it. But I used to have a pen goatee when I was growing
yeah,
up.
I could see that.
Oh,
Yeah.
and now I have a purple shirt. I got my new shirts in yesterday.
Ooh, nice.
Shit, what's the name of the brand? I've been wanting those shirts forever.
Is it
shit? They're not cheap.
Is it like George maybe?
No, no, George's a cheap brand. No, they're
it's high.
No. Yeah, it's a specialty T-shirt that's meant for more muscular bodies or bigger people.
Course. Yep.
And they do long ones.
Yeah, I like that too. I don't like a T-shirt that fits great up top, but then it's like just short, sits on your butt.
Yeah, but that's not really a problem for you. For me, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to stop buying women's clothes and they'll fit properly.
What's going on, Cheryl? It's my life hack. Cheryl, how's it going? Wise guy.
It's just those shirts are really meant for people that are 6'3", and I'm just underneath it, right? But it makes it, you know, when you have bigger shoulders, bigger chest, bigger back, your shirt rises a bit.
Yep, exactly.
So I get away with buying larges, not shrinking them in the shower, and having them super long. But they normally go, fuck, man, $30 a shirt, give or take. For me, $30 a T-shirt is insane. Like I never pay those prices, and I only paid that
I know
because they were on. But because they were on sale, they were literally. I think I paid half of what they're worth normally.
Yeah, nice. As Sylvia says, Nico, did you change your face? Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, I changed it. I have a bunch. Yeah. I just get bored. It's just but I saw some. I did a lot of our content, and I was watching my content. I'm like, God damn, you look like a hobo. It's time for. I just like to play with the facial hair, so I let it grow just so I can play with it.
Well, I mean,
and then
when you don't got it on top, you don't have a whole lot. You got to have something that you can work with.
Yeah.
Oh,
but as soon as I cut it, I lose like about 10 years. Like if I have longer facial hair, I look like I'm in my 40s. As soon as I move that, I look like a fucking douche Frenchie, but I look a lot younger. So my wife much rather, she doesn't like my goatee, but she much rather take that than the other one.
I'm the same way. I've got this baby face, and when I shave it, I just look like a 40-year-old baby. It looks ridiculous. It's the most like an adult baby.
Sylvie, yes, that's absolutely correct. I keep my facial hair. I like longer facial hair because I get to play with it. Exactly. It's a lot better than me playing with my penis. I'm just saying, because boys we play with things, right? Little boys play with their penises. I play with my facial hair. I figured it's a good compromise.
Jason, you too, brother. He says, we'll watch later, but sending love. Always love.
Right back at you, bro.
Wise guy says he's not followed the Tate Brothers story. The news it has been a pretty slow news day. I mean, I was saying that to Nico. Like, there's nothing. I said there's nothing out there. He's like, oh yeah. Blah, 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 blah,
I have like 15 subjects for today.
Okay.
So, and I'm trying something new. I wanted to try something new because I was discussing with Grok AI. Like I always ask advice. Like I know what I want to do, but then I ask, does it make sense or not?
Yep.
And instead of waiting to have our main topics at the bottom of the show, we're going to mix them up. I have so many secondary, and like we have 3 main topics today, so we're gonna alternate. Start with a good talk, like a main topic, put a couple secondary, main topic, couple secondary. So we'll see what happens. You guys let us know. You guys in the comment section, let us know what you guys think. Because at the end of the day, you have a say. Like, I want to know where you guys' minds at. I want to know what you guys think. So you guys let us know if this works for you. If you would like Robbie to talk less and me to talk more, that's also an option.
Yes, of course. It's already like a 70-30 split, but should we get that up to 80-20, 90-10?
You know, the only reason I think I talk more is because I tend to introduce the subjects, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But then I have to, my other job is to make sure we don't talk about too much LGBTQ, or else we just fucking lose you and I can go take a dump and come back.
Yeah. I'll still be on it when you come back.
Oh, yeah. So before we get started, let me ask you guys a question. What do you guys think of the Tate Brothers? Like, because everybody has an opinion.
Everybody,
like,
everybody. And if you don't know, just go do a quick Google search. There's a lot out there.
You'll know.
There's a lot out there. What's interesting?
The second guy, the most. You have Trump as the most spoken guy, like the people talk the most about, and I would argue that the second one is Andrew Tate. Over the past 10 years, he's the second most spoken about guy after Trump.
Which is crazy, and it's sort of like Arby's, like I was talking about the other day. Clearly, someone likes them because they still in business, but I never met anyone who likes Arby's. Like, I never met anyone who says they like Andrew Tate, and yet clearly someone must.
I can show you a bunch of them.
They are popular.
There's a lot of guys that like.
Yeah, them. I mean, I guess you have to go to the certain corners, but
no, I know a lot of actually smart guy. I'm surprised,
really,
by most. Oh yeah. A lot of it's because you're not part of the manosphere. You're not part, like, that's how I started. That's one of the things I started to create a lot of content about around years ago, is the men's right activists, I get, manosphere, however you want to call it. The red pill, my red pill was popped like 10 years ago, and I always read about it. But, you know, man, even when I was on Common Ground from Jubilee Media, I was a men's right activist, and that was one of their questions. Is Andrew Tate a good person? And I'm the only one, because the way it works, you have 8 people. You're normally 4 against 4 that were supposed to be men activists. Yet we had a fucking feminist with us. The other guy was like fucking soft as poop. And we had that redheaded girl. Fuck, I can't remember what her name is. She's massive. She has a massive audience.
Oh, is she from Josie, somebody? Like the redheaded conservative or something like that?
She's not a conservative.
Okay.
Redheaded man, right activist. You all seen it. She used to be in the UK for a very long time. Okay. But then she I love how I googled redhead men's right activist and the Jubilee Media. The Jubilee Media.
Pearl?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm at the hotel. I'm in California, right, for the recording. I'm at the hotel. I walk back from getting food, and I'm like staring at the bar. I'm like, that sounds like somebody familiar. I went to see her, and it was her. She was on the show, because you weren't allowed to know who else was there. You literally just show up. And she was there. I got to meet her. She's fucking tall, bro. She's literally just under my height. She's probably like 6 feet tall.
Did you end up talking to her?
Oh, yeah. I talked to her for about half an hour, and then
what'd you think of her?
Recorded content together. I will not say online. No, it's because I'm not based on anything. Like, I don't know her.
Of course.
Like, I don't know her, but I could tell you what I think, but I don't think that it's right.
Yeah. No,
we can talk offline if you're curious. You guys want to know on the Discord server what I talk?
I think
about.
Yes.
And it is Pearl. You're absolutely right. It is Pearl. But the point I was trying to make is that, so it's 4 against 4, right? And then they ask questions. You're in the back, and then they say, here's the question. Do you agree or do you disagree? Then join us. And there's seats, and there's somebody in the middle that kind of supposed to manage the conversation. They do a terrible job at it. But
okay.
They ask about Andrew Tate, and I'm like, I'm the only one, or it was just me and her that went. And just, not that I was defending them, but I was also saying that they have done work with young men. Like, there's a lot of young men that look up to them because he talks about masculinity all the time. Now, do I agree with his past? Do I agree on how he made money? Do I agree with 90% of the shit that comes out of his mouth? No. But to say that he didn't have an influence is
no.
No, but to say that there wasn't, but even that there wasn't a good influence at one point, bullshit. But does one outweigh as a Christian, I look at this guy, I'm like, bro, you literally sold prostitution. This is what you did. Like there's no hiding. This is how you made money.
Well, I think he'll admit that too. I don't think he.
Well, yeah,
I think he was proud of that, to be honest.
Of course he is. He was selling views. Like women would take their clothes off on camera.
I think he started webcamming, right? He had the
webcam. Thank you. Oh Jesus, that's been a long time. But yes, it's exactly how he started making money. He got popular kickboxing because he's a kickboxing champion, like European champion.
Oh, was he really?
Oh yeah, the motherfucker can fight.
Okay.
I don't know. He's solid. He's a solid fighter. Like he's not.
Did you see him the other day fight like 50 people or something? That, I mean, it was like 50 right in a row, but it was just a bunch of goobers that walked in like hands down by their side, and he would just kick them in the face, and then next.
But they do that as part of his training.
Yeah.
So he has trainings where you can go meet Andrew Tate, spend X numbers of days with him, because he has. You know how he makes money now, right? He has a massive university with thousands of people that pay him money. But I've heard, like, remove the Andrew Tate portion, like what you feel about the guy. Supposedly, I know people that don't like Andrew Tate that give him money every month because what he teaches is great. Because he teaches people on how to make money remotely. Like, do you know what copy is? What do you call it? Writing copy?
Right. Yeah. Like copywriting. Yep.
Sure, but not really. Like it's. Okay. It's not copywriting as in it's not a legal document. It's how to create just text that is attractive to people.
Okay.
So let's say you're describing a piece of clothes. There's a certain way to write that so it's attractive to people. That's considered copy.
I understand. Yeah.
So
sort of like a marketing kind of thing.
100%. But he teaches that type of stuff. Like he can teach you what you can do that won't take you a lot of money. Like that you don't need money. How to invest in crypto. How to invest on the market. So I've looked into it. I would not use his products, but I know people that don't like him. That are massive content creators that been in wars with them on X. Like they go back and forth calling each other's name. Yet he will admit that, yeah, I am part of his university because what he teaches is great.
Really?
So
that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, and you put your feelings aside, right?
Just in case anyone has absolutely no idea who he is, here's just a quick 1-minute clip that he posted himself.
Yeah.
So this is the image that he's trying to. So.
Yeah, and he's in Muay Thai shorts.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle that he's selling.
No barking from the dog, no small.
Yeah, so that's basically that's his thing.
You know what? Since we're talking about this, I was going to start with Manitoba, but since we're talking about it, how about we just fucking go into the Andrew Tate conversation? And the reason why he's trending is not for something idiotic that he said; it's for something idiotic that he's supposedly done.
Pretty serious.
And once again, Tristan and Andrew Tate face rape and human trafficking charges, but this time it's in the UK. Here is a quick video to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. I also found more information afterwards, which is if you don't know Andrew Tate, he is a guy. One of the reasons he's very popular is that he talks about the Matrix all the time. The Matrix to him being the world in which we live right now.
Do you mean
and saying how
the movie?
Yeah, well, he uses the analogy of the Matrix as in the movie to show that it's all under control, right? We're almost in a simulation everything's controlled. There's people behind the scenes that give you no choice. You're basically just falling in line, shutting the fuck up, working, and then you die, and then you didn't do anything. So he sells that idea. Not that I disagree with a lot of things that he says. That's the image, right?
I agree for sure. I'll just take these quick two comments and then we'll get this video just because of resonance. So Wise Guy says, I like when Rob talks many of his opinions on LGBTQ and immigration, they resonate. On the other hand, I just want to point out when he's wrong on something, then that's even more fun. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we can all enjoy that. But of course, those are, two of my main positions that do differentiate me from the left. So of course, people on the right, they will agree on that. But again, that shows how important I think, or how the whole format of the show and why it works. So yeah, I appreciate that comment. And yeah, we'll take the next ones after we get. We'll do the topic here first, and then we'll take the comments at the end.
Where was I going? Oh yeah. So the thing to remember is that he has an image. There's something that he's selling. He's always talking about how the government is after him because I don't know if you guys are aware, but it's not the first time. He just came out of jail at the end of the month, at the end of the and either end of last year, beginning of this year, he was released for prison for exactly the same charges, just not in the UK. But here is the new reports as to what the fuck's happening with Andrew Tate, Andrew and his brother Tristan.
Internet influencer brothers Andrew and Tristan Tate are tonight facing rape charges here in the UK. The pair are currently awaiting criminal proceedings in Romania surrounding separate allegations. They are then due to be extradited to Britain. Our correspondent Geraint Vincent is with me now. Geraint, what exactly are the pair accused of?
Andrew Tate is facing 10 charges in relation to 3 alleged victims. Those charges include rape, actual bodily harm, human trafficking, and controlling prostitution for gain. His younger brother Tristan faces 11 charges, including rape, actual bodily harm, and human trafficking, and they relate to 1 victim. Both brothers are currently facing a separate prosecution in Romania, as you mentioned. These pictures you're about to see were filmed in Romania last year. The prosecution there involves allegations that they lured girls to Romania where they were sexually exploited. Andrew and Tristan Tate have always denied any wrongdoing. In this country, Andrew Tate also faces a landmark civil claim brought by 4 women. Landmark because it's the first time a claim has been brought against anyone for the crime of coercive control, a claim Andrew Tate also denies. Now, to describe Andrew Tate as an influencer, Lucrezia, is somewhat to underplay his significance, I think. He's got millions and millions of followers on social media. His videos have been viewed hundreds of millions of times. And there have been grave concerns voiced by the police in this country about the misogyny in much of that content.
So this is what I like about
I'm
this.
David Cox.
On one side, what they're talking about is very serious fucking allegations.
Yep.
But at the same time, they always bring it back to him being a misogynist.
And why?
Always, every single fucking time. They can't just leave it at, he's accused of this. They always have to bring it back to, oh, he's a massive influencer and he's a misogynist. Now, is he a douche? Yeah, fuck yeah, he is. 100% he is. Does that make him a misogynist because you don't like what he say?
And of course, the difference is one is a crime. Rape is a crime.
Yeah.
Not. One is objective. Rape is an objective thing. It either happened or it did not. Misogyny is subjective. Some people's opinion on what might constitute misogyny is different from others. I agree. I don't like, at the end, the police warned about the misogyny. Why the fuck are the police warning about misogyny? I don't give a shit. It's not the police's job to police misogyny. Police rape. Yes, that's your job. And you know, rape is an actual act. If it happens, that's a crime. If it does not, then it isn't. But yeah, I agree. I don't need the police's warning about misogyny. And I don't need the police to tell me if someone's being rude or if someone's an asshole. I can figure that shit out for myself.
What's interesting, though, well, that's not interesting, but obviously Tate is denying it. Obviously, he's not going to come up and admit that he's done it.
Of course.
But here's just to show you the type of content that he creates, right? Politically motivated witch hunt. That was his comment, and you know what he's talking about, right?
Of course.
But what I find interesting is that for the people out there that might not know this, but I've been following this guy forever. It's not because I like his content, just because it's extremely polarizing, right? And
He's part of the zeitgeist for sure. You have to know what he's saying because he does move the needle.
Yeah. And the thing is that there are something that he says that I'm like, yes, I agree. It's just I don't like who's saying it. Like, I'm a Christian guy. I think it should come from above, right? But he's not a Christian. He doesn't have the same morals as I do. But at the same time, there's certain things that he said to young men, as in be in shape, try to be successful in making money. Here are some tools that you can use. But at the same time, like you see how he talks about women, you see how his past is fucked. But so, you know, that it's one of those things that if you're capable of separating how you feel about someone, you can still admit that, you know what, there are some things that he says that is correct. Not because if he did what he did, that's fucked up. But it's not the first time they try to go after him. That's the thing, right? Well, Romania, where he lives normally, he's in the US now, but so just to put perspective to this, he's from the UK, but his father's from the UK, his mother is American, or vice versa, I can't remember. Yep. But he has a UK citizenship, he has an American citizenship, he spent a lot of time in the UK. Then he ended up in Romania, that's where he made all of his money at the beginning, at least. That's where he was first accused of rape and human trafficking. That's where he ended up being in jail, being in prison, and he was released again, either at the end of last year or beginning of this one.
Yep.
But all the charges were dropped. Everything were dropped. It's like they put him in prison to make sure he didn't fly away because he's so fucking rich that it wouldn't be hard, because he's worth, like, we're talking $500-700 million dollars.
Real
that
money,
dude could just sip. Oh yeah. That guy's he could have disappeared and you wouldn't find him anymore if he didn't want to, right?
No, that's right. And I think you know, even the list of charges, like, I mean, you can already see some things that might be concerning. For example, rape, pretty standard, makes sense. But now he's talking about luring people across. Okay, what does luring mean? If he's saying, come over here and I'll put you on webcam and do sex work with you, and she says, yes, I would like that, I'm going to come over. Is that luring? That's just, I mean, luring has to be some sense of like, come over to do this. If he tells her, come over here and I'll put you to work as a waitress in my restaurant, and then she gets there and he says, no, you're actually doing sex work. Okay, sure. I got no problem. That's criminal act. But if it's just a matter of he told her what he was going to do and she came and did it and didn't like it, that's not the same thing. And he's like, she was sexually exploited. Okay, but did she also sexually exploit herself? Did she willingly go on a sex webcam because and then she just didn't like it? Because that's not the same thing as what I would consider real sexual exploitation. So, I mean, these are not cut and dry things. There's a whole lot going on here. And I guess we're going to have more information before we have a firm opinion. But right away, your kind of alarm bells are going off. And to answer your question at the beginning, I don't like Andrew Tate. I think he's a horrible role model for young men. And once we do get to the comments, you know, I can see most of the commenters here who do know him are saying a similar thing. Young men are uniquely vulnerable. And why is that? You know, I would argue, and I believe that because we've talked about this before, me and you are on the same page with this, is certain ideologies, left-wing ideologies, that have demonized masculinity for the past 20 years, that have made it everything, like denigrated the very essence of what it means to be a man as toxic. And they haven't given any examples of what healthy masculinity, well, they do, but it's always some version of Tim Walz or something, right? It's always some emasculated simp cuck version. And they will say, here, be like this guy. This is, and any young man can see that, no, I don't want to be that guy. That guy is a simp. He's a doormat. There's nothing respectable about that guy. And so you can't do that. You can't destroy masculinity, not just the quote unquote toxic versions, but even the healthy versions, even just all of it, and then be shocked. And then be shocked when a guy like Andrew Tate, who comes along and says, oh, you know, you don't need to be ashamed of who you are. You don't need to be embarrassed. There's nothing wrong with you. You can't be shocked when that guy has popularity. And I agree. And me and you agree. That is not a good role model for young men, but we need to figure out where the problem comes from. You know, they haven't allowed us to set any healthy examples.
Andrew Tate is not the problem. He's a symptom of the problem.
Yeah, that's a great
point.
The
only reason that guy exists is because there are not great men out there talking about what it is to be a good man. Now,
yes, Yes.
There's a massive lack of masculinity in society.
There are, people like me and you. It's just we don't have the platform that a guy like an Andrew Tate has.
And we'll never get it on those platforms because I can tell you from a guy that's been talking about this for at least 4 years now. Yeah. I've been called how many times have I been called Andrew Tate on my content?
You kind of look like him.
You're just another Andrew Tate. You're just another Andrew Tate.
Oh,
and
yes.
Just like
they say that. So they shut.
Of course, they shut you down from the get-go. Yet, when I did Common Ground on this exact topic, you should see the amount of messages that I got. You can just look at the content because it has millions and millions of views on YouTube, right? You should go check the comments. The only positive comments across the board are when I'm speaking. You know why? Because I approached it from a common sense perspective. I questioned the people on the other side just to say, okay, cool. You know what? That's fine. That's how you feel. But explain to me, what are the rights you have? Or what are the rights I have as a man that you don't as a woman? Can't name one. Why is it that every single time you answer a question, you start by, I feel? Why can you never state facts? Can't answer that. So they cut so many good parts of that video because I literally put them as shame on the other side. But yet I didn't come there from, I didn't have an opinion based on my emotions. I went there with facts and here's a question. Because I got a very feminine man that was telling me that men need to have more access to psychiatry and psychologists. I'm like, why? Do you not understand that as per studies, men do not deal with their problems the same way as women do? So maybe that in your case, you're a more feminine man, obviously. You want to deal with psychologists. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're right. But don't tell me that men like me that are extremely high in testosterone, that like to work out, that watch what they eat, that actually competed as a fighter, I'm going to go see a psychologist. What the fuck is that guy going to talk? He wants to know about my feel. Yeah, fuck you. You're not the type of guy I want to talk to. I want to talk to other strong men that's been through what I'm going through, that can maybe mentor me or show me, you know what, bro, this is what's going on. This is what's lacking in today's society is mentorship. Men are not allowed to mentor other men without being shamed. And most of the shaming, unfortunately, coming from women. And I don't understand where that comes from. Why women, especially feminists, when I say women, I'm mostly talking about feminists because my wife would not be with me if I wasn't masculine. She wouldn't be with me if she knew I'd give my life protecting her and my son. She would not be with me. That's what she expects from me. This is conversations that her and I have had in the past, and that's the way it is. But the point is that me being a masculine man, wanting to provide and protect for my family, doesn't mean that women are not important or they belong in the kitchen. One enables the other, right? This is just what's going on. That's why a guy like Andrew Tate has the power that he does today. He's not the problem. He's a symptom of the problem that needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, you and I will never get his type of influence, especially not with young men. Young men don't I can tell you that my content resonates with everybody except young men. Like anything below 30 don't resonate with my content because I'm not Andrew Tate enough. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not the type to brag about shit. I'm not the type to say, oh, look at me, what I look like without a shirt on. Look at all these women I could be fucking. You should do the same thing, bro. So unfortunately, it's not appealing to young men.
Well, yeah. And like I have to tell my 16-year-old son all the time, like, as you go through life and you get old, you're getting a lot of like young men your age, you're getting a lot of messages these days from certain ideologies, often some sort of feminism, and do not listen to them. Many women will tell you exactly how you should behave, exactly what masculinity is, and they don't know what they're talking about. They will say those things. They will like emasculate young men, and then they'll go out and fuck someone who's actually a masculine man.
My buddy would say that to me all the time. Even those feminists fuck guys like me.
It's hilarious, right? Like even the ones who are demonizing it. It's like feminists in the streets and a fucking misogynist in the streets or whatever. Like they'll go out in private and actually seek out the men who, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and I think a lot of young men get led astray because they listen to these messages. They're like, oh, well, women are telling me what they want, and it's like, no, that isn't actually what they want. And they may think they do. I'm not saying they're lying. I just think women are not necessarily the best judge to tell men how to be masculine men. Me and you agree. We would never go around telling young women. Teenage women how to be a woman because we don't know. But these same people who would skin us alive if we even tried think that they are the ones who should tell young men today how to be a man. And that's...
But whose fault is it? Who do you think's fault is it? Who's to blame for this?
Well, I think it's a complex problem. There's a lot going on, but at the end of the day, I think it's on us. I think it's on men for allowing this.
It's not complex. You're bang on. It's not complex. It's men. Men are to blame for this because we let it happen.
Yeah.
My wife expects me to lead. Most feminine women want a man that will lead. That
they want that, even if they
want courage. They want a guy that's courageous, that's going to take the hard decisions. And that's why it's so important for a man to have a woman that will back him up. Even if she doesn't agree with him, just to say, you know what? I trust you. I trust you to know better, because most men will take decisions based on facts, not emotions. Most men, I said, maybe arguably a small portion of men today, but that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on us. We let this happen by allowing women to tell us what a real man is.
Yep.
This is where the problem is. So let's not, you know what? I'll cut it short, because I can go about this for 3 hours in a row.
Well, we got a bunch of comments, and I suspect that the conversation will keep going for quite a bit.
Oh no, but that's fine. That's why I'm just going to leave it at that, because man, that's one of my many rabbit holes. Is just I feel strongly, especially that I have a son coming. Like, bro, I feel this shit is a topic that I'm going to restart talking about as I learn what it is to be a father, right?
100%. 100%.
One thing that I wanted to show that I find extremely interesting, though, is, so like I was saying earlier, Andrew Tate has been accused of all of this by Romania before. He was in prison. He got released. And I was doing some research this morning. And what I find interesting is that Andrew Tate actually predicted what is happening right now last year. I found a video that was originally posted on May 16th, 2024, during an episode of the Fresh and Fit podcast. And Andrew Tate is saying that the UK is going to go after him. That was last year. I found the video. I just found it to be very interesting.
And I'll say this publicly. As we speak right now, the UK is trying to put me in jail. England, because Romania has failed, so England has picked up. And England's coming up to me with all this garbage, and they're going to try and charge me soon with some imaginary crimes.
Maybe it's why they'll drop the documentary.
Well, there you go. Of course, because you have to poison the public's mind.
To believe that you are an evil guy.
Right? So the UK is trying to put me in jail. And I'm saying this now on this podcast. Everyone, listen to me. The UK is coming next. Romania's failed. UK's picked it up. And as the UK try and put me in jail, I sit and I wonder. I say, imagine being a prosecutor. I probably shouldn't say this stuff. I'm just going to say it. And you get paid, I don't know, $3,000 a month or whatever, $2,000 a month. And you're sitting there just looking through my whole life for months. Oh, you made money. Oh, that's a lot of money. That must be a crime. Oh, a Ferrari. Oh, that's a crime. Oh my God, he has a nice watch. Crime. Like, and just sitting there, the obsession. And for like 6 months, just sitting there,
just analyzing
obsessed.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of weird that there's all these full-grown adults with this much obsession, making documentaries, trying to take me down, prosecutors in dark rooms going through my life, trying to take me down, ex-girlfriend blowing up my phone who I don't reply to anymore. Like, everyone's just like, it's weird. And I just wake up going, there's so many other people's lives which are just intertwined with mine, or obsessed with the idea of trying to be involved in mine. It's actually very weird.
You know, he's easy to dislike. But one thing that I know guys that have spent personal time with him. I know them personally. Supposedly that he's not like that in real life. Supposedly super low key. This is the personality that he shows.
It's hard to even tell if you like him or not, because you don't even know what's real, especially these kind of influencers. It's all often an act, right?
I've met so many of them in real life that I can tell you, bro. I would say a good 95% of them are not what they seem at all. But if you notice, most of them do pre-recorded stuff. They don't do live stuff either, because that person, for you and I to carry a personality like this for 2.5 hours a day is a lot of fucking work. You're going to slip up. You can't keep that type of energy if it's fake. And the only thing I'm going to say about Andrew Tate, and I just posted about that, like I said before, I like to drop shit bombs before I come on this podcast, because I'm going to be away for 3 hours. I don't have to look at what's going on. But I posted this just before I came on the podcast. And what I said is, however you feel about Andrew Tate, I just wish the UK government would put as much effort in catching their grooming gangs as they do trying to catch the Tate brothers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Took me a second there. Yeah, I mean, one is an asshole who may or may not have committed some crimes. The other is a systemic problem that is going on for decades, involving millions,
like 4 or 5 decades,
hundreds of thousands of women, and it is a systemic problem. It isn't just. It's like built into. Some of these tribalist values of some of these people. A lot. If you listen to those victims, almost all of them will say they are just random men who got together. They're cousins and brothers-in-law and stepfathers and fathers-in-law. Like they all know each other. They have networks, so they just text. Oh, we got a new one. Everybody shows up. And so, that's a much bigger problem, and it's frankly much easier to prove. But it's very
go after them.
It's very acceptable to go after an Andrew Tate politically, and it is not acceptable to go after certain ethnicities or religions, and we all know why that is. And just all we can do is just raise the alarm and keep talking about it, and hopefully it resonates somewhere. But I mean that's a great point.
I'm very good at those comparisons, like using something that's going on right now to just say, hey guys, can you imagine if the UK put as much effort in trying to catch the Tates, catching those groomers? Because one is, I don't know, it's just one guy. You know what? Sure, if he did it, that guy should be taken behind a shed and dealt with. But you have 5 decades of information. I was just looking at this before the podcast, and it's not just in the UK. In Germany, it's the same thing. And they all come from the same places. They all have the same fucking religion. And you know what? One of my bros was in Afghanistan. Years and years and years ago, and he said the cry of young men, you boys, that you would hear.
I heard it
over the. See,
and
you can confirm.
We're instructed. You can't leave it alone. You leave it alone.
That is exactly, just to prove your point, that is exactly what my buddy told me.
It's part of the culture. It is part of the culture, and we're told not our issue, not our fight. And a lot of guys had a real big problem with it. I had a real big problem with it, and there's nothing we can do. Because the ones that were doing it, well, they all do it, but the ones that we heard with our own ears were our own side. This isn't the enemy. Like we had to have local warlords and tribal chiefs that we would work with that were against the Taliban, and they'd be under our protection. Can you imagine that? You're doing perimeter security, so these motherfuckers can be raping little boys. But we're told it's not our fight. It's not our fight, and fuck. That brings back some memories for sure.
Hey, bro, before we take some comments, something's breaking right now. I got to talk about this. Concerned Canadians, bro. Concerned Canadian, thanks for sharing our post yesterday. Ding, ding.
Yes.
Carney just tabled a spending plan with very few details.
That looks very large.
It's only $486 billion, so don't worry about it.
Jesus.
But I like what he says. Breaking news, $486 billion in spending, no budget, no plan, no detailed information. That is the type of Mark Carney's government.
Now, what's interesting, this is global news, right? So that's part of the left-wing media sphere.
No,
but like even they seem skeptical. Like that seems, I mean, it's not nearly skeptical enough, but for them to even say it like that suggests wondering maybe, I mean, I know this is a rhetorical question, and I think we all know the actual answer, but who knows? Maybe something is changing. I mean, I think we know it's not, but it's just grasping at straws here. Prove us wrong here, guys. Prove us wrong. Just hold them accountable.
Let's
see. Let's see what some of the other headlines are saying.
No, but hold on. I got I'm just trying to find a video that's not on a fucking website, because they're going to try to sell you a bunch of shit, and man, it drives me nuts. Shit. Hold on. Where are they? Because this is breaking news. I love doing breaking news. It seems like the only really people that are reporting this are global news. So I got a video that's running in the background right now.
Sure.
You can't see it because I'm trying to avoid publicizing their fucking publicity. So as soon as it goes on, I'll pow. So there we go. So let's see.
Closer look at what's in them and what's missing. David.
Well, Donna, the spending plan tabled in Parliament this week gives Canadians really the first outline of how the Carney government's finances will be different from the Trudeau government.
Honorable Prime Minister.
No difference.
Mark Carney promised more fiscal discipline, and he plans to spend $486 billion this year. That's about the same as the Trudeau government did last year. But even that is too much for the Conservatives.
Just like Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney's spending is absolutely out of control. In fact, it's worse.
This week's spending plan is certain to change in the fall once it is updated with the $24 billion in new spending commitments the Liberals made during the election campaign. The plan really is a first step, a baseline, and one required to essentially keep the government's lights on. Still, MPs will be asked to vote on it without the benefit of having a budget, which would detail how the government plans to raise the revenue for all this spending.
Did you hear what he said? That plan is to keep the lights on. $486 billion to keep the lights on. Maybe we need to put some LEDs somewhere because that's fucking expensive. To keep the lights on. Really? Seriously? $486 billion. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
With the economic storm clouds moving in, how is it possible not to have a budget this spring?
Moreover, MPs will be asked to vote on this spending with few details about it, though the government promises ministers will provide details later.
So hold on. They are asked to vote on this. We don't give you any information, but just trust us. Like, we'll spend it's only $486 billion. Come on, trust the motherfucker.
No big deal.
No budget, no nothing, no plan. Just say we need to keep the lights on. $486 billion.
That's crazy. Obviously, we'll stay on top of this. But
yeah, let's just see what Stephen McCannon has to say. Oh, that's
there's more to it.
That's the new House leader. Yeah, there's like 30 seconds.
Will be extensive examination with ministers being accountable for those sums in the House of Commons, more than that has ever occurred in recent memory.
Now, MPs will have to vote on this spending plan, and it will be a matter of confidence, although almost no one expects the government to fall when that vote comes sometime in June.
Well, no, of course not.
So basically, they expect the MPs to vote on a $486 billion spending plan with no plans. Just trust us. That is what we call trust me, bro science. Hey, bro, come on. Yeah,
come on. Trust us. Trust us. Would we lie to you?
No.
Come on.
No. Well, you know what? It's funny. Hold on. You know what? Perfect. Because I was not expecting this, but I got a perfect segue for you. Then we can jump on questions because that's just going to piss people off even more. Okay. Let me throw a little shit bomb in there.
Sure.
So funny enough, I wanted to show a video of that happened yesterday during the first question period. Because, normally every Wednesday, at least Trudeau did that for 10 years. He took questions, never fucking answered the damn fucking question. But every Wednesday, it's question time. And we got to see him play with his hair and look all homosexual. Yeah. Well, yesterday was Mini Mark Carney's first round of questions, and Andrew Scheer actually asked him about his tariffs. He talked about Trump. So listen to this video.
Democracy lives, and this is where we provide rigorous scrutiny on every word he says and every dollar he spends on behalf of Canadians. Now, let's talk about those words and dollars. During the election campaign, it was elbows up as he put retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. Then secretly, he dropped those tariffs to effectively zero. But he didn't stop there. He told Canadians that the government would collect $20 billion in revenue from those tariffs and use it to cost his platform. Now that those tariffs are going to bring in $0, two quick questions. Why wasn't he honest with Canadians during the election? And how's he going to make up the shortfall? Is he going to borrow it, print it, or tax it?
What a slogan.
Right, Honorable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, may I first thank
smack him.
My constituents from Nepean for giving me the honor.
Smack him.
And could you also indulge me to say how great it is to see you in the Speaker's chair, and I trust that you're operating under the period of grace that will not be accorded to me appropriately, as the Leader of the Opposition just said. Mr.
Does that look like really a conversation between the leading party and the opposition? Everybody's shooting the shit. Those laughs were coming left, right, and center. It didn't matter.
I mean, I think it's.
But
yeah,
but listen to a brilliant answer, because he addresses the question. But
Speaker, our tariffs have maximum impact on the United States, minimum impact on Canada, and we are dedicating all the revenues from those tariffs to supporting.
He
the
loves this, man. He's so pleased. He's so pleased
American act.
Here, here.
The honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, he didn't take long to pick up old liberal habits of not being able to answer questions. This is where democracy lives, and this is.
So he don't answer the question.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
so that was a different. I'm sorry, I kind of went from Tate to breaking news to him, but I think they somewhat fit it together. But
oh yeah, I mean,
is that the type of government you want?
Well, I mean, it doesn't.
I don't like that they like each other. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
It's always like that. If you look at you look at the U.S. senators talking to each other, they're always buddy. They go out in front of the cameras, and you'd think they actually give a shit, and then I mean, it's just the way the system works. I guess from their perspective, it's probably not healthy to be like steeped in grievance all the time. But yeah, it does provide a weird visual, I think, for the rest of us when they go out and they'll say something like, "Oh yeah, these guys, fuck these guys," and then they go in there and they're backslapping each
elbows
other all
up.
the time. Yeah, exactly right. So just to get back to,
you want to take some of these millions of comments.
Yes, we'll take some of these comments. So that was the Andrew Tate story.
You know what? Before we do, let's do a little spill, guys. If you're on X, please like, please comment, please share this stream. This is how you can help us grow. If you really want to be part of the conversation, like you can see it right here. Those are all comments from our members from our listeners on YouTube. So if you want to be part of the conversation, make sure to join the YouTube channel at the Poli Orphans. If you want to support us, there's two ways to do it. You can give us $2.99 a month. This will give you priority comments, and it will give you access to our members only Discord server, where this conversation you're seeing right here carries on 24 hours a day. And unlike YouTube, there's no censorship over there. There's nothing that you can't talk about, because I'm the one managing it, and I'm probably a bigger conspiracy theorist than you are. So if you're tired, if your wife is tired of hearing you talking about politics, if your husband's tired of hearing you talk about politics, my wife can't fucking stand it anymore. Join the Discord server. It's members only. There's no trolls. Or we accept bribery. So if you don't want to participate in the Discord server, but you would like to encourage us, we do take tips. So there is a possibility on the feed somewhere at the bottom, or I think somewhere at the bottom right, you can actually tip us. Super chat is how it's called. So yeah, there you go. I'm done. That's my skill.
Yep. No, and I don't. Yeah, I think you hit all the notes. You got all the right things.
Used to be a sales guy, by the way, just so you know.
And so back to the comments. So we're talking about the Andrew Tates of the world, and bigger picture too, what that means about masculinity and why young men seem to be struggling so much. So in that context, let's go back to where when it started. Detective Gaines, we'll start with you. Says so many young men are looking for direction and identity. It's unfortunate that the wrong men are filling that void. Yeah, and I think as we were discussing earlier, that's got to be on us. Maybe not us personally, but us collectively, us as men, for allowing this to happen. We didn't have to go along with this, right? We didn't have to allow them to demonize us just to not be appearing to be misogynistic, or everyone wanted to appear as, oh, we're nice and kind, but we can be nice and kind without agreeing to ideologies that seek to destroy the very essence of what men are. Because at the end of the day, men and women are partners in this, right? We need each other. We are no one's better. Men are better at some things because of the nature of our biology and our psychology. Women are better at other things because of the nature of their biology and their psychology. I just think that we need to stop, getting away from this us against them mentality that is built into ideologies like some aspects of feminism and like some aspects of the manosphere. And just get back to this idea that, I think one thing that this trans debacle has shown us is exactly what happens when you start with an ideology that tells us there's no differences between men and women, that the only differences are socially constructed, because there are differences between us, and that's perfectly okay. That is the magic of the human species. That's what makes us and that's what makes it work. And so, yeah, I think these sorts of ideas and ideologies are toxic that try to pretend that there are no differences whatsoever between us, and get back to celebrating them, because there's nothing wrong with them whatsoever.
On the contrary, that's how we were built. God made us. If you look at the Bible, the woman was made from our rib, not because they're servants to us, because they complete us. This is the thing. Like we are meant to be together, plain and simple. Women have qualities that men don't have. Men have qualities that women don't have, and we're not built the same. Like I love when people tell me that men and women are equal. In the face of the law, they should. We're not. Unfortunately, women have more rights in court, like especially family court, than men do. But men and women are not the same, because the same means equal. Like equal means the same. Sorry, it's the other way around. Men and women are not equal because we're not the same. That's the definition. Equal means the same. We're not. We complement each other.
Yeah.
What would be the point of two women, of a man and a woman, to be together if they did not bring something different to the table, right? My wife is nothing like me. Are you fucking kidding me? I'd kill her if she was like me.
Right? Yeah, like we don't want to be. We complete a whole together, but 100%. we are not the same. And there's nothing wrong in recognizing that and even celebrating it. And I think if we want to start to get back to a place of healthy relations between men and women in the culture today, we need to recognize that. We need to and even 100%. Celebrate it.
Oh, 100%.
As Pam says, I agree. Young men today have been completely demoralized. Yuri would be proud of that accomplishment. And I believe she's talking about, is that Yuri Brezhnov? Was that his last name?
Mesmenov. Yeah.
But basically, he was a Soviet propagandist, right? Who defected.
He kind of warned us, but he warned us about this.
I think he was a propagandist over there, and then he came over here and warned us about their tactics and techniques.
Yeah. Yuri Bezmenov is, I think, who she's talking about. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct us, Pam, if we're incorrect. That's a personal conversation. I love it when you guys talk to each other.
Yeah.
Sylvie.
She says, I must say, if this is all true, they shouldn't have any. They shouldn't be an influence to any young men whatsoever. And I mean, I agree with you. They should not. Of course,
the same thing as trans should not be influencing little young women or men. Feminists shouldn't be influencing young women. Unfortunately, there's a hole that needs to be filled.
Yes,
and it's getting filled by the people that scream the loudest.
I think what you said is the right one. The Tate Brothers are a symptom of the problem and not the problem itself.
Oh yeah.
What we need to look at is what caused that hole. Why is that hole there that they were able to come and fill? Because
masculinity.
Exactly, right? And what ideologies cause that hole? And let's look at those. Because if that hole was never created, if we had a society full of young men,
we'd laugh at Andrew
exactly
Tate.
Right. And that's why I mean, you can look at that and look, this idiot's ridiculous, pumping his shoulders on the fucking couch, and that video cut off, but it goes on to show his 25 Rolex watches and stacks of cash. And we can laugh at that because we're secure sort of in our own masculinity. But if you're a young man who spent 18 years old and has spent his whole life being told that everything about you is wrong, and now you see a guy who makes it feel something, because young men, just like all men, are wired towards masculinity. And if you do not give them an outlet to seek it in a healthy way, they will seek it in an unhealthy way.
And the thing is that there is a void that needs to be filled. And
100%.
Men need to take their proper place in teaching men what it is to be a man. You look at, I'm a big fan of history, and you look at Greece, you look at the way the Spartans worked. As much as you might disagree with the way that they worked because they were all about military, the way that they were actually building young men was the right way. Like until the age of 5, it would spend no, but hold on.
Well, I mean, it might be a bit extreme. Like,
shut up for a second. Let me finish. No, you're not getting where I'm going with this.
All right, go ahead.
What I'm saying is, from the day he was born to 5 years old, he would spend most of its time with his mother. And then after 5, he would be taken away from the mother, and he would spend all of his time with men until he was about 20, 25. Once he was that age, he came back into society, got married, had kids. So basically, if you look, that's why I said when I started, you might not agree with the fact that he was put in a very bad spot with men. He would get his ass kicked. Like the movie 300, what they talk about at the beginning is not a joke. That's how they were, but they were the greatest fighters of their time. But the point I'm trying to make is that when a young man is very young, when he's a child, when he's a newborn, he needs to spend a lot of time with his mother. His mother is going to teach him emotional responsibility, how to be connected
with other humans,
and how to be with a woman. My mother was never motherly with me, so I struggled my whole life developing relationships with women because I was never taught at a young age what it's supposed to be. You know how much I've learned from my mother-in-law. She's so motherly towards me, and I've never experienced that before her.
Interesting.
So, but you know what I mean? Like, I can look at this and say, damn, I'll make sure that my son never goes through what I've been through because I understand the consequences. But at the same time, when they cut the umbilical cord around 5 years old, he would spend most of his time with his father because it's time for you to learn what it is to be a man. And if you look at a man's development, a young boy's development, that's exactly how it is. Teach him emotional intelligence. Once he understands that, let him be a boy. Let him destroy his body. Let him run into shit. Let him do some really fucking dumb shit, fight other kids, but put structure behind it. Put intelligence behind it. You know those videos? My wife won't stop sending me those, but you see the father with a newborn. He's just like, oh, I don't want to break it. A year?
I'm fucking throwing him around. Use him as a football. Yeah.
But that's how it should be. This is not like I saw a video of a father. He drops his remote on the ground. He can't reach it. He grabs the son. He's like, "Hey, catch my remote," and then he puts it back.
Wiping the snow off of his car with his kid. Yes. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But my point is, if you look at the way it was structured, it makes sense because this is what the development of young men. So that's what we need to go back to say women have a job, mothers have a job to do, fathers needs to step up, do their job, but women also need to stop fucking arguing with when it's time. But when it's time for a boy to be with his father, stop it. Because I see that with my wife. So sometimes my my sister-in-law will come, we'll be all together, right? And she brings her young son. Her young son, absolutely, hey, Uncle Nick. And we just play. I roughhouse with him all the time. He gets hurt. I'm like, don't care. Let's go, continue. But at the beginning, they would just like be, what's happening? Helicopter moms, like my wife, the grandmother, and the mother just, what's going to happen? And I'm just like, leave it alone. Let him he bangs himself. He's like, is he okay? I'm like, no,
then
stop.
He'll learn.
I don't acknowledge you being hurt. If you're really hurt, I'll know. I've been hurt a lot of times in my life. I know what it is to be hurt. But don't acknowledge when he bangs his shin bones because he's acting like an idiot on the side of the table. No, don't care. Oh, you have a bruise. Don't care. Let's go. Let's continue doing what we're doing.
So many parents think it's their job to protect their kid from every single bump and bruise and scrape. And while that may be well-intentioned, it's actually extremely harmful for the child. All it is it makes them become an adult with absolutely no resilience, absolutely no ability to overcome any. I mean, resilience is a major life skill. The ability to pick yourself up, dust yourself off and say, yeah, that sucked. I'm going to go at it again. That is a major life skill. And that is what you are taking from your kid. When you don't allow them or when you do the helicopter parenting. I just want to go back to something you were saying there a second ago, and I kind of laughed when you're like, the Spartans had it right, because I think they were a bit extreme, right? Like, yeah, they take their kid from 5.
Very fucking extreme.
They take their kid from 5, and like if the kid's too weak, they just get killed. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty extreme. But I agree with you. We're definitely on the same page with your I understand the overall point you're making, that there's a time period in a young man's life when his mother is the most important figure, and that is necessary for him to be able to develop healthy emotional connections later 100%. In life. And then there's a time when it is time to shift towards your father, and it's his job to teach him how to be a man. And that actually shows what I was saying earlier perfectly, that it is a partnership. If you had only one or the other, that child will never develop into a healthy, functioning adult. But unless he gets very lucky and managed to meet a man somewhere along the line that can take that role, an uncle or just, a local community leader. However, by far the best scenario that young child can grow up to be a healthy adult is to have both and understand what each brings to the table. And me or you could not do that initial stage. We couldn't teach him how to. When I say me and you, I mean me and you as men, could not teach that young boy how to emotionally connect the way his mother can. And she cannot teach him how to be a man the way that, life happens. Sometimes the father dies and she has to make do with what she can. And, I have nothing
but it's her responsibility. But it's
situations.
her responsibility to find
someone. 100%.
I used to create content just around this. And how many times have I had mothers contact me in private messages, just say, so what do you suggest? You know what I suggest to you? The same thing I did when I was in my early 20s and I didn't have a father present. I discovered martial arts. I put myself around fucking monsters. I bled. I got hurt. But I built a relationship with strong men. Like I always used to say that martial arts have forged me as a man. If it wasn't for that, I would have never been able to do sales the way I was doing. I wouldn't be in front of a camera talking to millions of people every month. It wouldn't happen. If it wasn't that I know that I can defend myself, that I stepped in a ring in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people, I wouldn't be able to.
It gives you a confidence that you will never get, no matter how many million times your mother says you're the best person in the world. I love you so much. Yes, you need that. Don't get me wrong. You need that from your mother, but there's something that you get from the validation and affirmation of a strong older man, preferably your own father, who is saying and showing you how to do it. It's, every young man knows when your mother tells you how handsome you are, that's great, but it's your mother. She's biased. That will not give you.
She was right, God damn it.
That will not give you the kind of confidence that you will get inevitably when you go out there and you bump and scrape around with other men. That sounds a little bit woo woo, but you know what I mean.
Coming from a hetero metrosexual guy like you, and a Frenchie in a purple shirt.
Exactly. And there's a comment here from Detective Gaines I wanted to take because it actually is.
Let me take this one just because it's there. But Joe's saying the holes created by absentee fathers are caused by poor relationship choices. And if by relationship choices you mean that the most important decision that a man will ever take is who he decides to have children with, I agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%. There's a good reason I'm 43 and I don't have kids until now, because I never found a woman before my wife that I could have children with, as in I know that we align. I saw the way her father is. I see the way her mother is. They've been married for fucking 45 years now. No matter what happens to them, one is not leaving the other. They're going to die together, and that's the end of it. And that's my intentions with my wife. I'm not going anywhere. As hard as it's going to be, I'm here to stay. Like I chose her to have kids with. That's what matters. So I agree with you, Joe. Hardest decision a man will ever take is who he decides to have children with, especially in today's world where a woman can literally steal your kids away and you don't have a lot of recourse as per after family law or after in family court. Oh, bro, I've seen some nightmares from personal friends that were great men, that were really good dudes. Man, there's horror stories out there.
There are definitely horror stories out there, 100%. So Detective Gaines, and this is, I like this comment because it gives us the opportunity to show a visual example of what we mean. He says, have you seen the viral video of that white alpha dog? I knew exactly what he's talking about when he said it, because I'd seen it the other day.
It's brand new, right? It's within they're all behind a cage. Two of them are arguing. Yeah, that's
I've got it queued up. It's basically a bunch of dogs who are doing dog things, and then fucking big old swinging balls big old cock and balls, comes strutting in, and without any aggression, physical aggression, he puts Buddy exactly in his place. So it's a great clip. Here he comes. All right, that's enough.
Yep.
And
have you ever been around Burmese dogs?
Oh yeah. My neighbor had one growing up.
So like 160, 180 pound white dog that's meant to rule other animals. Like,
and he's got the psychology of it. He's got the psychology of it, right? He didn't need
dogs I've ever seen if he likes you. But if he doesn't know you, bro, you're fucked. But you wouldn't know him just laying there. Just looks like a big puppy. If he stands up, animals that are 3 times horses will be fucked. Damn, what the fuck is he doing?
Exactly, right. And I thought that was a great clip to play because it's a great visual of exactly what we're talking about. He didn't come in barking and screaming. He didn't need to.
He showed up.
He showed up and he said enough.
But look at the way he stands, though. If you look at the way the chest is pumped, the head is up. He's not lowering his head to look. He's looking down. As soon as the other sees it, right away turns on. Ah! Like he didn't put any pressure. He just, hey, stop.
Now, exactly, right. Enough of that.
I submit.
And Buddy said, "Okay, bud. All right, sir. All right, sir. That's fine." And it's interesting because exactly that thing that white dog showed is what we're talking about when we talk about masculinity. It's that thing that you learned when you did all those martial arts. There's fake confidence because I tell my son, like, when I was 21, I walked around with my chest puffed out, and you might have thought, oh, this is a confident guy, but I didn't feel it. It took me probably to my late 20s, early 30s before I got a sense, just from life experience and making mistakes and learning. And that's a different type of confidence where you just know it, and you can't fake that, and you can't. No matter how many times your mother tells you that you're the best boy in the world, you're not going to get it. You need to get out there, be with other men, and you need to do hard things, and you need to suffer. And that is the only way that you can get it. Yep.
You need to get your ass kicked. You need to realize that there are guys that can break you like this. 100%. It will teach you respect.
And martial arts is an incredible way to do it, but it isn't the only one. Like, anything hard, anything that caused you to suffer around other men.
Just, I believe that men need to be able to protect their family. So 100%. To me, having martial arts, knowing how to
check a bunch of boxes with that. Yeah, I agree.
It's just, if a mother approaches me and say, where can I put my son in? The father's not present. He's died. Whatever the fuck the reason is, put him in martial arts.
100%. If you had one,
and I don't
only had one.
I don't care that he's 5 years old or he's 25. Don't matter. Martial arts.
Yeah,
that's it. And 100%. I just want to address a few comments. Like, I'm not going to show them all just because they're around the same thing, but there seem to be, because this I get all the time, and I don't understand why this happens. And maybe the women in the comments can explain that to me. But why is it that every single time I bring this topic, because again, I'm talking not here, but on my other socials, we always see mothers or women come up. Yeah, but it's the same thing for women. Yeah, but the women, it's not what we're talking about. Like, I don't know why women always spin it to, daughters. And I agree with the comments. Fathers are important for daughters, no questions about it. In the same way as the mother is important to the boys. They just invert the roles. Mm-hmm. If you look at little girl psychology, they want to be with their fathers. They want to learn what it is. Because if you look at the psychology behind it, a mother to a son is their first woman love. And the same thing for little girls and their fathers. It's their first masculine love. You're teaching them what they should be looking for later on in life. That's why when you see a broken woman, and Rob, you'll know this, daddy issues.
I've seen a few.
I've seen a few. Oh yeah. Tiffany's,
Tiffany's redheads,
hairdressers and redheads. Yeah. But all to say that I understand what you guys are saying, but we're not talking about women, because women are addressed all the time. Women, it's always about women in today's society, and men are shamed into not being able to be men. If you allow fathers to be men with their sons, if fathers will become men with their sons, automatically that will make the daughter-men relationship better by default because they're good men.
Yep.
If you teach young boys to be good men, they will be great fathers. But if you don't let men be men with their little boys, you'll never have great fathers, and that will apply to little girls as much as
it's
little
a cycle,
boys.
right?
But you fix the problem that we're seeing today by allowing men to show boys how to become men, because a woman cannot teach a boy how to become a man in the same way that I cannot teach a little girl how to become a woman. I can't. I have no fucking clue what that means.
100%, 1,000,000%. Therese says here, it's a great comment. As my dad taught my brother how to respect ladies, like opening a door, it also taught me as his daughter what I need to myself to look for in a man. And I think
exactly my point.
Said that better. It is that your father took his job seriously as a role model, not just for his son, but also for his daughter. And
one goes with the other. One is intertwined with the other.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. And just connected to that point, Joe says, speaking as a staunch lefty, the greatest failure of liberal ideology was sparing children from pain, failure, and consequences, especially males. Another great comment. And I would say just about what Therese here had said, you know, and I think we all understand this is what happened. Much of left and liberal ideology has de-emphasized the role of the nuclear family and made it that there's something wrong with it, and celebrated scenarios where you didn't have the nuclear family. And don't get me wrong, life, like I said, life happens. Sometimes a family gets broken up because of something not beyond their control. And those people should never be shamed or anything like that. Single mothers should not be shamed, especially if they did absolutely nothing to get into that situation. But we should be at least celebrating and pushing, holding up as the proper ideal, the idea that the best environment to raise children is a nuclear family where the mother and father are present, love each other, and create a stable environment to raise those children.
Every single piece of research that's out there that is honest will show you that the best way to raise children, doesn't matter that they're boys or girls, is to have a father and a mother present in the same household.
Yep.
Plain and simple. This is, if you need to pick one, that's the one. And I agree with Misfit saying that was probably around the comment where when I play with my nephew.
Yeah.
And I agree. I let him get hurt. I don't want him to be a little pussy. I really don't, because if there's one thing that this translates, me being able to play outside when I was a kid, my mom, not only did my mom become a nurse because I was getting hurt all the fucking time, I don't worry about it anymore. You know, I snapped my arm a few years ago. I didn't even stop what I was doing. I was literally rolling I was preparing one of my fighters for a fight. I'm doing jiu-jitsu with him on the ground. I just spin off my forearm. I crack it. I feel it right away. I don't know if you've broken a lot of bones in your life, but I know right away. I've broken so many of them. I'm like, I hear the click. I'm like, oh, motherfucker. I finished the round. And then I'm like, hey, bro, go roll with other people because I think I messed up my arm. Went to the hospital.
Yeah, I broke my arm.
I ended up breaking my arm. Coincidence, I show up to work the day after I went to the hospital. There was this girl, older woman that I used to work with. She also broke her arm. Her arm was in a cast, and she had to take a week off in order to recuperate from it. And then I'm like, I didn't even fucking have a cast done because I told the guy, I'm like, if I do, that means I can't teach martial art anymore. That same night, I was at the gym.
Yeah.
I wasn't punching with my right arm, but I was punching with my left, and I was still kicking. Because you know what? Shit's going to fucking happen. To this day, if I get hurt, you know what? Can I still continue doing what I'm doing? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll figure it out after.
Yeah.
But that is something that men need. We lack so much of that. Like little boys, you basically touch them, they're like soccer players now.
Yeah, exactly, right. And you know, I mind of a particular drill sergeant I had in the army, and he would always say, "Are you hurt or are you just hurting?" Because there's a big difference, right? If you're hurt, if your bone's sticking out of your leg, okay, we'll get you some treatment. If you're just hurting,
you might want to check that out.
Fucking suck it up, you know. You know, that's everyone has probably rolled their eyes at their grandfather or father who said something like, "Oh, it builds character," but it really does. It absolutely builds character when you suffer. That is that is,
translates
and not
into everything afterwards. Everything's
everything. You get
affected by it.
everything, things that seem like has nothing, like there's no obvious connection between, suffering through a martial arts workout today and meeting the perfect woman 10 years later, but there's a direct connection between it, right? The confidence that you get from that kind of thing, it will, or getting that perfect job for you, it will translate into real tangible life benefits. And this conversation that we're having today, it wouldn't happen in the public discourse on male-female relations, as you said, like, and it was, I don't think it wasn't us to say there's, I agree that we should be, talking about how to help young women too, but we've been doing that for 20 years, right? We have been doing that. And I think we should continue to do that. We should continue to help building up young women, but we can do that and also build up young men. But it seems like, especially in the left-wing ideological sphere these days, if you say anything that might be in support of young men, it's met with derision. It's
because it goes against women.
They'll be fine. They have privilege. They'll be fine. This nebulous concept of privilege. No. They do not have privilege. Certainly not today. Maybe 50 years ago, you could have said, maybe made the argument, but not today. Today, it's the opposite. It's now they have one arm tied behind their back just because they're men, and we're still treating them like they have privilege. And we wonder why. I laugh when you say, like, well, we need. You hear often, like, oh, we just need so much. We need to have more mental health treatment for women. And yeah, I think that they should have that option. But like, fucking suicide rates of like 80% of suicides are men. Like, maybe we should be looking at men too. Men are not in a good place right now, and it's okay.
Do you know that Joe is bang on? 93% of male inmates.
I didn't know that number, but
come from fatherless homes. If you look at the statistics, you look at drug users, you look at dropout rates, you look at incarceration, you look at alcoholism, you look at homelessness.
Yep.
The vast majority, like 75% and above, are men that come from fatherless homes. And I'm not going to start blaming women or men. I'm just saying those are hard fucking facts.
100%.
And you know what? That's one that tends to piss women off. Men do a better job at being single parents than women do. Yet we always prone. If you look, 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no, the study is very fucking clear.
You're talking about actual fact. Okay, cool. I was just saying, like, my gut feel, but yeah, even my gut feel. I think I wish
I knew we were talking about this. I would have pulled out all the research I've done in the past. But all to say that 1 out of 10 single parent is a man. Normally, obviously, because of the courts, it's normally assigned to the woman. But they do a better job on every single point than a single mother. And one of the reasons why is not because they're necessarily better parent by themselves, is men tend to admit that they need help. Like, if I was raising a daughter, I'd be the first one to look, okay, where the fuck do I have a strong woman that I which women do I look? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Men will have a bigger tendency to admit, like,
a lot of moms will be like, Mom, as long as he has mommy, he'll be fine.
Exactly, but it's bullshit, right? Yeah. So I'm not saying that necessarily men do a better job by themselves, but they will seek help.
That's a good point.
I wouldn't have no shame in saying, if something ever happened to my wife, I'll be the first one to say, "Oh shit," and have a daughter. Whoa. Good woman.
Yeah.
Where can I
You'd be out there finding 20 people to bring into their lives to help them.
Oh, so, fuck yeah. And no ego at all. It's not about me.
Yeah,
I know what I can and cannot do. I'm happy I'm getting a boy first. I'm very fucking happy about this. I'm happy that it's not a little girl. But at the same time, I wanted a little girl too, because I see the way they treat their dads. It seems a lot nicer than little boys.
It's funny. I feel the same way. I've got one son, and I don't, there's definitely still the possibility I have more. But if I had a girl, it's just thinking about it. I know that it would be different, right? You would feel differently. You would, and not
the way
better
they treat
or worse.
Their fathers. Did you see the videos? Did you see the videos? Like the little dad, like they have 3 plates. And then you have a little boy that gives, they have like 3 plates. You have the mommy, the dad, and you have the son or the daughter in the middle. because that shit don't work with boys, but it's the daughter sitting in the middle. They lift their plates and they have, let's say, 3 cookies or 4 cookies or 3 cookies, I think.
Yeah.
And like the little girl's going to have 2, mommy's going to have 1, father has nothing. The little boy doesn't give a fuck. He's just like, cookies. The little girls are like, they look on both sides. They're like, oh, daddy doesn't have one. They give her one. She will take one. And it just shows that it's a fact women care more than men. We just do. They just do. Sorry, they just do.
I feel like that's actually a great example of kind of what we were talking about earlier, how, men and women are different. We have different strengths.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the strength of women is to act as that glue in the family unit, right? That bond that keeps everyone together. The role of the man, due to his strength, is to act as overhead cover, to protect that family unit, to provide for it, to help it grow. But without the woman or the mother to create that bond and make it something special, the man has nothing to protect, nothing to support or provide for. And without the man to protect or support it, then the woman can create that bond all she wants. It is at risk. It is vulnerable. And I think, that story, even as a young girl, that's what I mean. It's baked into our DNA. It is not socially constructed. Actually, Misfit, that's a great comment. And it's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like, I agree with Nico that if you had to pick one, martial arts probably
checks so many more boxes. Yes.
But it isn't. It doesn't have to be martial arts, motocross.
I like motorcycles too, bro.
Yeah. Anything that
my helmet's right there, right? So I like
exactly anything that's hard, that takes commitment, that takes drive, that will
that you might get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. That will cause a little bit of suffering. That all of this, it will do the same effect, especially if it brings you into contact with other men who you can form bonds with, because that is an important part of it. In this day and age, it seems like men are supposed to be all lone wolves. I mean, I'm sure you feel it. Like I feel it. It's hard to have a real connection with other men these days, unless there's something in between. It's funny. The only real strong male, like I have my army buddies. So the army is what brought us together, or the guys on my softball team, right? But that softball is the thing that brought us together. Without some crutch in between, it's very hard to go out and just make male, connections with other men. And it didn't used to be that way. I think part of that is just this culture that is, denigrated everything to do with masculinity and maleness, and you see the effects of it everywhere.
I can't remember the exact numbers, but I believe they were saying that the vast majority of men above the age of 30 has no close friends, like zero. They have no male friends that, the shovel expression, they have nobody that they can call at 3 o'clock in the morning and just say, bro, bring your truck and a shovel. Is there?
Yeah,
no
I'm there.
Questions asked.
Yeah, because they know you wouldn't ask if it's not important, and that they'll be there if you ask.
Yeah. And this is sad, because they were saying that about 30 years ago, 55% of men were saying that they did, and now they say that the vast majority, it's completely switched the other side. The vast majority of men above 30 don't have a real friend, like a real masculine friend that they can just be manly with,
just guys with. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
I guess it's true, eh? I never thought about it like that, but
it's so sad when you think about it. This is something I'd like to get back into. I'd like to coach men like I used to do. It's just, men, it's where the fuck would I find the time anymore? But it is something eventually that I'd like to go back into, because goddamn, men are suffering, and they don't talk about it. They just don't want to talk about it. And
well, and to the extent that it is talked about in public, it's always the wrong problem to diagnose. It's often because it's usually the people who have, spent 20 years destroying masculinity. They're the ones who are offering the solution. It's always some version of, they're just not open enough. They didn't, like you said, someone who offers, you just need more therapy. You need more talk therapy. No, men don't really need that in the same way.
I got him to admit that I was right. I got that guy to admit that I was right.
Yeah, they need to feel appreciated.
That is no, but you're sorry to cut you off on that one, but you're banging on. This is the most important word. Men just need recognition.
They don't mind suffering. They need recognition for the suffering, though. Yeah,
bro, I work between 12 to 14 hours a day. All I do is work. I hit the gym, I come back, I eat my meal, and then I'm a vegetable and I go to sleep. That's my days.
Yep.
My wife doesn't have to do that. She will never have to do that. Why do I do it? Because I want to make sure she never has to have to. Like, look, it's just a fact.
Exactly. Right?
If you look, I had an interview with a guy called Dr. Patrick Flynn. He is he's a brilliant individual, and he manages hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. He's a doctor by trade, and he explains all the time to women that you guys are not built the same as men emotionally. Your hormones are not the same. You're not supposed to work as long hours as men do. It destroys your health. It's not good for you. You're not meant to do this. You're not physically built to do this, but men are. All you need to do is allow him to do so. Don't be annoying to him. Don't be heavy. You know, what's one of the biggest traits that most men want out of a woman? A woman that is not going to scream at you for working, that you're working too long hours, that I want to be able to come back home and not be in a fight with my wife. Like, you don't know the bullshit that we've been through during the day. All I want is to be around somebody that I love, that loves me back. That's it.
Yep, that's it. Recognition, right?
But understanding that we're stressed, that we have a lot on our shoulders, that we would never tell you because we don't want to tell you. You don't need to know this shit. That's not your role to deal with it. It's our role to deal with it. We were meant to deal with this shit. Just understand that we do it because we fucking love you. Because if there's a fact in this life, if men could get women living in a cardboard box, we fucking would. Like, believe me, if we didn't have to provide that environment where if men are alone.
Yes. We'd be living in caves still. We don't give a shit.
There's a woman that posted that online, like a massive account. She posted a picture of maybe a 20 by 20 apartment, just a room,
with like a lawn chair. You had a lawn chair and a TV. It was like, men will live like this.
No, the caption was, would you live like this for a couple $1 million a year? You see all the comments from women. They're like, I looked at this. I'm like, I've lived like that before. I didn't get millions of dollars. Are you fucking kidding me? If you told me today, all I said is, can I add a desk? You could tell me right now, if I was single, I'd have the smallest of fucking apartment. I don't give a fuck. Give me a place where I can have my computer, my chairs, my book, a couch somewhere, a place where I can smoke a cigar, and a bed on the floor somewhere, in a toilet, and a kitchen that works. I don't give a. When I met my wife, I actually lived in like a 350 square feet apartment. I made 200 grand a year. I didn't give a fuck. It's just, to me, it's not important.
It's a space.
I don't care.
It's space. Yeah.
I don't care about cars. I care about motorcycle. I like motorcycles.
Yeah.
But I don't care about cars. I don't care about houses. It's meant for her, not for me.
We only give a shit about that stuff when our woman wants it, right? Like we provide the space.
I couldn't care less.
Women make it a home. You know what I mean? They make it. They give it color. They color. They color in between the lines. And it's funny because when I have any time in my life when I've lived in, like, you know, a place that's like super fancy, like if I show the camera in my living room, it's pretty bare bones because I don't live with my girlfriend. She lives a couple hours away. It's, you know, it's got the couch, the TV or whatnot. But anytime I've lived in a place where it's like very homey and cozy and comfy, it's got all the things on the walls. It's because of with my partner lived with her who one of those things. That's funny because when I'm in that space, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of nice. I like this. But I would never create it myself. I don't care enough to create it myself.
You know, there's an expression that says that men will buy a house, women will make it a home.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we don't give a fuck. We really don't. And I just want to take this. Maybe we should change the subject because goddamn. But Sasquatch is saying Nico breaking his arm and finishing the match is the most Gen X thing I've ever heard. Actually, I can make it better. It was not a match. I was actually just training one of my fighters. I was preparing him for a fight. But you want to hear better? I was at the gym. Instead of the right forearm, it was my right elbow. And I can show you. See my arm right now? This is as straight as my arm goes because I broke it. It has metal plates in it. It has a massive amount of arthritis in there. But I was at the gym doing chest press, dumbbell chest press. I'm just pushing. I hear the click. Like my arm is stuck in this position that I have right now. I'm like, uh-oh, that's a problem. Finished my workout. I went back home. I used to date an anesthesiologist. So I and she used to work out all the time. So I'm like, is it possible that I broke my elbow during doing chest press. She's like, yeah, no. Chances that you do that are so small, not happening. I continued, you know, the squat bands that people use on their knees to keep them I started wrapping my elbow in. I never stopped working out. Didn't care. I was still doing martial arts. I was still working out. One day I woke up, I'm swollen from my shoulder all the way to the tip of my fingers, like probably 4 or 5 months later. Go to the doctor. Turns out, I had broken my elbow. It healed improperly. Do you know what a bone spur is?
Yeah. It's like a little chip that breaks off or something.
Or your bone repairs improperly. Okay. So I had a piece of bone that didn't heal properly. That's pushing against my ligaments. I can still play with it to this day.
Ooh,
but
gross.
This is what caused a massive amount of liquid because it was inflammation in my whole arm. The guy looks at it, it's like, oh yeah, man, you broke your elbow. It didn't heal properly. Now you have a bunch of pieces everywhere. You have arthritis. You have this. You have that. I'm like, oh shit, that sucks. I had a surgery done and now I can't move my elbow. So that martial art thing is just one of many. I'm a fucking meathead. I'm an idiot. I'm fucking stupid when it comes to that, man.
That's It's
just the way I am, bro.
No, but that's the way, you know, that's kind of the resiliency. That's a skill set when you learn, you know, from all the years of getting your ass kicked, is you learn how to be a bit resilient. And not
you got to be careful, bro, because I've had surgery on my right ankle, my right knee, my right elbow. I need one on my left knee. I need some on my shoulders. I've broken bones upon bones upon bones. I broke my nose, broke pretty much my hand, broke everything. Doesn't make you, it makes you tougher. But God damn, it's gonna hurt. It already is hurting now. I can't imagine being 60. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be in a wheelchair, but it was worth it. It was worth it. So you need to find an in between.
Yeah,
like not being a pussy, but also going to the hospital.
Yeah, doing the bare minimum to take care of yourself.
But that's not a fighter skill. Like a couple of years ago, I used to train guys who were in an elevated ring, and on one side it was bare cement. The guy was being lazy. He was one of my fighters. He was being lazy. I fucking threw him out the ring. I didn't do it on purpose, but I swooped him. You know, I'm holding pads. We're doing pads, and he just does a fucking lazy move. So I just block his move, and I sweep his legs. He goes flying between the two ropes in the middle, hits his head on the pavement, knocked out cold on the ground. Like he's just...
Really?
I'm in the ring. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like, because all I did is wrap one of his arm, and I swept his back leg. He just fucking went flying, but I never, he just perfectly between the two ropes knocks himself out. He gets up. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm like, hey, whoa, what the fuck, bro? You were out for like a minute. We need to go check for concussion. We need to go to the hospital. So there's a fine line, right? Where you kind of still need to be intelligent enough to know that you're hurt and you need to go see a doctor. Don't be like me. Don't be
That's good advice. Don't be like Nico.
Yeah. I think my wife would agree with that.
Yeah. On that note, what should we?
Manitoba. Let's talk about Manitoba, because this is something that's going on right now, and of course, I found a way to bring it back to conspiracy theory.
What's the conspiracy?
But Manitoba? Well, no. Right now, all I'm going to say is that Manitoba has declared a province-wide emergency over its wildfires. I got a great video right here from CBC. Oh, that's a weird thing to say. A great video from CBC. I don't think that should be in the same line, but you know, when they're just reporting the news, it seems like they're still doing an okay job. But I really dislike that guy. Man, I don't like this guy.
Cochrane, the bald.
The Prime Minister of Manitoba. But here's what's going on in Manitoba right now.
This is about us quickly being able to turn, let's say, a soccer field into a shelter facility.
Manitoba's premier declaring a province-wide state of emergency over rapidly spreading wildfires.
Oh, God.
Roughly 17,000 people on the move.
This is a significant step we are taking to uphold our obligation to keep people safe.
Canoe says the Prime Minister has accepted a request for the Canadian Armed Forces to help with evacuation flights, taking people to Winnipeg, the province, promising food and housing when evacuees arrive.
This is a moment of fear and uncertainty. This is a moment of concern. But I want to tell you that your fellow Manitobans will welcome you.
Hot, dry weather and high winds pushed raging fires closer to communities Wednesday. Firefighters near the Manitoba-Saskatchewan border narrowly avoiding aggressive flames. The city of Flin Flon, home to about 5,000 people, the largest community under a mandatory evacuation order. Intense conditions have limited the resources sent to the fire, and officials say water bombers had to be grounded after a drone flew in the area. Residents of several northern First Nations also told to leave.
We didn't expect a massive aggression or full evacuation, but now we are being told that we have to do it.
In Saskatchewan, the province's largest fire has burned more than 200,000 hectares after two smaller fires merged. More than 4,000 residents of Pelican Narrows forced to flee to evacuation centers in the south.
It was not comfortable for sure because you don't know what to do and where to go.
Many of these evacuated communities are also extremely isolated. It could take 9 to 10 hours of driving to reach Winnipeg. And with dry and windy conditions in the forecast, officials are urging people to head south as quickly as possible. Alexander Silberman, CBC News, Regina.
So there you have it. There's something going on. There's obviously some fires. I don't know to which extent, because they're only talking about the biggest city being like 5,000 people. So it's not to the scale of what we saw in LA, obviously. But the part that I find interesting, and this is what I'm going to keep my eye on, is I don't know if you remember High River. Do you remember High River back in Alberta about 2013? So about 12 years ago?
Was it a forest fire?
No, it was a flood.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
Now this is where the conspiracy theory comes in, and I'm going to keep my eye on what's going on in Manitoba, because obviously forest fire, it happens every year. There's nothing much we can do about it. The government doesn't seem to give a fuck, so they're not going to make it better. But you know as well as I do that if it's dry, people are stupid. It could be an idiot that left a fire in the forest that didn't fucking make sure to drop water on his fire after camping, and he fucking burned this. You know that's how it starts, right?
Yep.
This is not fucking climate change. Let's kill the fucking subject right here. This is an idiot somewhere that did it on purpose or didn't do it on purpose, but it's human made. But the point that I want us to keep in mind that I'm going to continue looking at is this, because I don't know if you remember this, but during the 2013 High River floods, the RCMP was called, they exactly bang, Drew's my boy. Not only does he have one of the greatest mustache in the business, he does know exactly where the fuck I'm going with this.
What I do now that we're watching this, it's ringing a bell. What happened?
Yeah.
It was they ended up going into a bunch of homes because of the flood, saw that there was a bunch of guns, and was like, oh shit, we better put a task force to go take all the guns. Is that essentially
the RCMP? And this is where I'm like, I heard the military, because did you hear that the premier of Manitoba asked Carney to bring in the military? So the military was also used in High River. The RCMP was used in the High River, but they literally took guns away from hundreds and hundreds of houses. They just took the guns. Oh, they weren't stored properly. Oh, they just decided to take the guns away. They don't have the rights to do that. But the RCMP got caught doing this. And we're talking like CBC here. I'll show you an article from the NFA afterwards. But this is the CBC saying that the RCMP watchdog wraps Mounties over High River gun seizures during 2013 flood. So even them are admitting that there was a problem. They're not going to say it, but just a tagline, you can tell that there's an issue. So this is what I want to keep in mind. I just want people. So here you go. In all, 609 firearms were taken from 105 homes. And they're not supposed to be able to do that. So just saying that when you see those emergency situation, I always pay attention to the guns because the expression afterwards, after this in the gun community, it became, "Oh, I lost all my guns fishing."
So yeah, that's fun. I do remember that story from a while back. And are you thinking it's going to be that
I don't know,
something like that? Yeah.
The thing is that I know the premier, that sounds like a canoe name, is not a very nice guy. I don't like that guy. He's woke as shit.
Is he?
And oh fuck yeah. Oh, he made videos of him making fun of Trump when he got elected, when he was in office. So he's just a twat. He's just a massive, massive twat. And I just don't trust him. I don't see why. They said in the interview or in the video that I showed that the biggest town that was affected by this had 5,000 people. Let's say I'm not there. I'm not counting the people, so I'm going to take their word, because you know that CBC is always going to inflate whatever the fuck the reality is. So if 5,000 people is the biggest town they have and it's inflated numbers, why the fuck's the military there? Why? Yeah. Why is the military showing up for 5,000 people? Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't, right then and there, I'm like, okay, there's no, I don't trust the guy that's in power. I don't trust that he's already asking Carney to join. I'm like, yeah, no. So I'm not saying that something's going to happen. That's not what I'm saying. But this does not rub me the right way. I'm just like, there has to be. Is there something going on? It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying it's going to necessarily happen, but I'll keep my eye on it and see what gun owners are saying, because when you're in remote areas, most people have guns.
Well, yeah. I mean, what is it, say 600 guns for 100 homes? I mean, six to a home. That doesn't sound that crazy for a rural area.
Most people don't understand that. They think about, Americans have so many guns. They say that per capita, Canada has almost as many guns as Americans.
Yeah, I heard something like that too.
Oh, the number shows you that there's a lot of guns in Canada. It's just we're not 350 million people. We're 40 million people.
Yeah. Pam says, I had my house broken into by the RCMP during the High River floods. That's interesting.
What was their reason? What was the reason for breaking into your house? Is it because of the flood? They sold the idea that they did not want. They wanted to make sure that nobody was in there dying. They needed because water. Yeah.
I wonder what's the legality of that? Let's say there was a pile of drugs in there. Would that be like? Could you argue? Say they didn't have a warrant, so it has to be thrown out, or would that be considered under? There are some loopholes where you don't need a warrant. For example, I think one of them is if your drugs are in plain sight and an officer is walking by and looks through the window and can see it. I think they don't need a warrant, but. Let's say your drugs are hidden in your bedroom, but they see it because they went in during the flood. And I don't even know if anyone knows the answer, but I'm just curious as what the legal ruling on that would be.
This is the NFA, which is the National Firearm Association. That's one of the two biggest associations for gun rights in Canada. And here's an article that they put on their website years and years ago. But one of the things that they mention is, how can people maintain respect for law and order when police are breaking into secure, if damaged, homes? A disaster is not an opportunity to conduct warrantless searches. So, but that goes back to what you're saying. Unless you're seeing a dead body through a window, you can't break in and say, "Oh, there's a dead body." No, you can't do that. You're not allowed. And that was the biggest problem with High River, is the fact that they didn't have any warrants. It looks like the RCMP used a natural disaster in order to break into people's houses. You don't get to do that.
Oh,
you do not get.
Well, and this is interesting. Pam says, I took all my valuables with me, but they looked everywhere for them in my house. So are you saying, do you think, like, is that what do you know anyone else who was missing valuables? Like, was this just old fashioned, like, gang criminal activity? Is that what they were doing? That's fucked up if that's true.
The thing is, do I think that this happened? Yes. Do I think that they did it on purpose to break into those houses to confiscate guns? Yes, because if you look at what Trudeau did for the past 10 years, he went after guns, after guns, after guns. And the RCMP, unfortunately, are unelected officials that get to decide the classifications of firearms in Canada. So they get to change it whenever the fuck they want, and it doesn't need to be approved by Parliament. They just get to do whatever the fuck they want. That's the power that they have.
Yeah.
Would it surprise me that they did it on purpose? No. Can I prove it? No, we can't. But I think, hold on. They used this to take all the guns, but they did get people got their guns back. So the thing is why did they take it in the first place? Why were you in those houses in the first place? What's your excuse? You wanted to make sure that there was no dead body? I don't like when the government has emergency power over people's property. I don't agree with that. So as soon as I heard, so why did he declare a province-wide emergency when the biggest town he could find was 5,000 people? That doesn't sound right to me. There's something going on. I don't like it. So I'm going to keep my eyes on this to see if there's reports. And I would encourage our listeners, if you do hear of reports, because I got a feeling that a lot of our listeners got guns. Just a wild assumption here, but I think I'm pretty bang on this. If you do hear of those things, let me know. Let us know. If you're not on Discord server, I have an email address, info@nicolagan.com. If you have a story you think we should talk about, or you have something that you want us to investigate, info@nicolagan.com. I'll take it. I manage the inbox, but that's why I created it. So I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, I'd be curious too.
It's just, I don't trust. Obviously, I think it's pretty obvious I don't trust the government. But yeah, as Detective Gaines is saying, oh, fuck, I love it. A fucking lefty with 3 guns, a shotgun.
It's because I think rural lefties are probably not, like, they understand guns are tools, right? Guns as tools. It's only city lefties that think they're like evil.
Shotgun, a rifle, and a 22. 22 makes sense. That's the best tool to show people how to shoot. Best way to do it. You don't do it on a 308. They'll never shoot again. They're gonna fucking hate you from that day on. But 22 is great. A rifle, probably a hunting rifle. What is it? 30-30, 308, 253 mag, 243 mag. What are you shooting? And a shotgun. If you have a 12 gauge shotgun, that's as good as it gets. I would just add like a similar to a handgun. I like handguns too. I think they're very useful. Like in the US, you can go in the woods. Like when I'm down there, like you can get guns over there. You have a massive Magnum. Like a lot of people will go hunting. But if you're hunting deer with a 308, you turn a corner and there's a bear, you might not take it down with a 308.
Stopping power.
So having a 350, like having a 354 Magnum revolver strapped to your side is a good idea. Although you don't hunt with it, you should have it with you in case you do encounter those bigger animals. But yeah.
Pam continues, she says, yes, a lot of people had stuff missing. That's crazy. Like just like value, not even elite, like just like jewelry and like that, those kind of valuables, because that's fucked up. Oh yes, I see. They left the doors wide after busting, so they blamed on other criminals. And who knows? Maybe it was other criminals, but probably not. Like they probably, they knew that they could then use that as an excuse. Either way,
the criminals came in first to allow other criminals to do their jobs. Yeah.
Either way, whoever ended up taking it, the fact that they busted in is what let the criminals in, even if that's what happened. So I mean, they're still responsible. Did they end up paying out for that stuff, or did they not?
I always find it very interesting how criminals don't respect the law. It's very interesting, isn't it? Try explaining that to a lefty, that the more law you have, the better your society. No, actually, they regular people don't break the law. It's criminals that do. And guess what? They don't give a fuck about your laws.
No. That's really their only defining trait, feature, is that they, of criminals as a group, is that they don't obey the law. That's literally.
But if we put more gun laws, criminals will have less access to guns.
If there's enough
no,
of them,
actually, you fucking idiot. The less guns you have in the hands of legal gun owners, the more the crime rate goes up, because the less consequences criminals have. You look at places like New York. There's a great graph that shows you that 97% of guns in the US are owned in red states or red considered areas, like areas that vote Republican. Yet 97% of gun crimes are done in very liberal cities. Why? Because they don't have access to guns there. So criminals don't give a fuck. When the only people that have guns are criminals, you think you're scared about a home invasion? Look at what's going on in Toronto. You got fucking police officer telling people, you know what, those guys have guns, and they know you don't. So
just leave your keys.
Okay.
They're just after your car. Like, or you could do your fucking job.
Or no, you can't, because you know the average response in a city is between 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the city.
Yeah.
Do you know the damage that I could do to you with bad intentions in 5 minutes? Yeah. Everybody's dead in that fucking house if I have access to guns and you don't. But just imagine that somebody would try to invade your house, and just like detective games, you have a 12-gauge shotgun and you're just like, oh, who are you? Bang, bang. You know what? Crime's going to drop very low because people don't fuck around with people with guns. You know, there was a great video where you had journalists going in prisons, and they were talking to people that did B&E, breaking and entering. And they're like, what's the indications that will prevent you, like, from looking at houses? Which houses will you not go in? He's like, did alarm system have anything? He's like, yeah, we don't give a fuck about alarm systems. What we care about is, do we think they have guns, and do they have dogs? Those are the two things. Like, they have dogs and guns. If we think they might, fuck you, we're not dealing with that shit.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with that.
Else. So I love when liberals or Democrats in the US put a no gun zone on their lawns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I lived in an area and people were against guns, I would put one in the front of my lawn saying, my neighbor doesn't believe in guns, but I do. There you go, asshole. Hey, criminal. That's where you want to rob.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Actually, that'd be a good sign to put up.
I've seen it before. I've seen it before.
Put up, like beware of dog signs, right? Even some people don't even have dogs. We'll put them up just because it's effective.
Yeah. Detective Gaines saying he has a
30-06.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. I like 30-06, 308. They're more popular in the US. It's easier to find ammunition for 30-06 in the US. I like the 308 better, but same at that point.
Many who had old guns and antique guns were stolen. That sucks. I bet, and they probably never got compensated.
Oh no, and those guns are not easy to find. If you have antique guns, and they're not cheap, if they're well maintained. Because you don't necessarily shoot them, right? They're heirlooms, right? Most of the time.
Yep.
I'll give you a choice. I have a bunch of subjects. It's just I didn't expect us to go an hour on stuff, but I like it.
Yeah, I like that too.
Andrew
one
Tate,
of the strong points about the show is that we can kind of go anywhere.
Yep. So because I want to talk about what happened to Trump in the US yesterday, but there's a couple of subjects here that I found was funny. Like I talked about this on my other socials this morning. I just thought it was fucking hilarious, but did you know that the
federal liberals have taken a step toward officially getting rid of
I did see that.
They tabled a notice of motion in the House of Commons today, signaling an intention to repeal the law. The government used regulations to end the tax in March after Mark Carney became prime minister. He called the policy too divisive. The PM has promised to strengthen the industrial carbon tax, but has not said how or when that will happen. Well, the federal liberals have taken a step.
So there you have it. The consumer part of the carbon tax is finally going to be axed, because obviously it was just dimmed down.
Yep.
But I thought it was funny. I made a video about this morning, just saying, oh shit, the liberals just announced that they're going to remove the carbon tax. Wait, hold on. Didn't they say they already did? Oh no, that's right. Mark Carney was lying. He didn't have the power to do that, but this time he means it. But does that mean that climate change is no longer a problem? This is all I got to say, right? You can play around with this shit, but you're just taxing people. That's it. That's all you're doing. It's not changing.
Yeah, that's all it is.
You're not changing anything with this.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if he actually believed in it and he actually believed this would work, then it wouldn't matter if it was a divisive policy, right? They would just leave it. But the fact is, it wasn't. It was never meant to actually do anything about climate change. It was just another government money grab, really. More taxation without while trying to deflect blame so that they can say, oh, well, we hated to do it, but we had to do it to protect the environment. No, bro, you didn't have to do it. And clearly you don't, as we can see.
Did you hear? I saw that yesterday that New Zealand is backing away from. So here you go. Hold on.
Yeah, let's do that.
I know, but it's just it's super easy. It's just saying that New Zealand just abandoned their ban on oil in oil and gas drilling after the prime minister declared that they will move away from their net zero.
The world
agenda.
had full. And she says the world. It's funny because that's the narrative.
She's a massive liberal. Of course, she's gonna blame the world.
Yeah,
of course, it's not his fault. It's not her fault.
And you heard that from the Bloc Québécois leader too, when he's basically, the way they talk is if the world has already moved on, and it's like, no, motherfucker, we haven't. We still need oil. And it's funny, we've talked a lot in the show about vibe shift, especially at the beginning, like back in January, February, we talked about the vibe shift of kind of like how people are starting to be anti-woke, anti-DEI, and I'm sensing a similar vibe shift in oil and gas too, and climate change. Like, I feel like people are more becoming kind of like, in my opinion, like me, like people who are, not necessarily righties, people who never believed it, but people who on the left,
people are finally
starting to come to the right opinion, which is mine. I just mean people who already, people who you typically believe it, are starting to come along and like, okay, maybe it's real, but also I'm not so sure about it. I'm not sure about the models. I'm not sure about the worst case scenarios you guys are giving us. And maybe we shouldn't be, as Mark Carney is saying, centering climate in all of our economic decisions, right? So you're definitely sensing that shift.
But it's interesting because it says New Zealand has done away with its net zero policy by overturning an oil and gas drilling ban. And in a shockwave move by many, Australia will replicate. So Australia is, oh Jesus, boy, that is the woke of the woke right there.
I think they're even worse than Canada, to be honest.
I don't think any place is worse than Canada.
I mean, it's a close battle for the worst.
No, you know why? Because they're actually overturning their decisions.
Well,
we're actually praising ourselves. Oh, we're removing the consumer part, but we will strengthen.
Yeah, strengthen the industrial. What does that mean exactly?
You know exactly what that means.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I mean, what is he going to say that it means?
Yeah. So no, I think we're worse because we're still going down that path of wokeness.
Yeah.
Here is a video I wanted to show. I'm not going to introduce it. I'm just going to show it. It's super short. I just did not know how to feel about it. I saw that video on my feed yesterday and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not sure what, because Canadians, like I posted about this morning, how Canadians we have that false sense of arrogance. Like we're very high up on our pedestal. Like, oh, we're so polite and we're so kind. But complacency is not a form of kindness. You're just fucking weak. But the point is that I saw a video. So Canadian hockey fans boo East Indians for dancing during Canadian hockey game. Did you see that?
No, but I'm curious because
I was watching this and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. Because there's some scenarios where I might be okay with this and some scenarios where I wouldn't be. Okay, that's super interesting.
I know, right? I'm like, how do I feel about this? I'm not sure how I feel.
I think that I like it.
Guys, for the people out there,
what do you guys think?
But hockey fans seems to be twatty recently because they booed the U.S. They booed a little girl that was singing the U.S. anthem. I'm like, do you not understand how it must be, how hard it is, how nerve-wracking it is? I fought in front of people. Bro, it's not pleasant. It is not pleasant knowing that there's people there. So I can only, at least they were on my side, like people were encouraging. Because, most of the fights, you don't get booed, even if you're, because people understand. They're like, yeah, okay, those guys are doing some fuck.
Yep.
That's the same thing right there. You're stepping in front of thousands of people. That's being streamed to millions of people. You're going to boo a little black girl on top of that? Like, bruh, really?
Yeah.
At least I
think
understand me.
so. I think I definitely like it now that I think about it.
Yeah,
I like this.
Girl, you like it, huh? Yeah,
no. I like the Indian. I like the Indians dancing for a couple reasons.
You like the Indian dancing, or you like them?
I like booing it. I like the booing of it. So, and it isn't that I actually care. Like, I'm not watching this and getting angry. Like, if I was there, I wouldn't be getting angry. Like, oh, why are they blah blah blah? What I like about it is that it's telling the message. It's sending the message that people are fucking done with this shit. In Canada, a hockey game is essentially as close to like culturally sacred as you can get. So it's almost like this is our culture. This is our place. And it's one thing, like, for sure, you want to welcome anyone who wants to go to see a hockey game, but they have to come on our fucking terms. You want to come in here and slap a hat of your local team. You can be as Indian as fuck, as Indian as you want to be, as long as you're there to watch hockey and be part of that culture. That's great. But do not try to don't try to make it into something that's not. And I like just the fact that people are pushing back, and you hope that the elites that make these decisions get the fucking message. Certainly, like, one booing on one hockey game is not going to do it. But if every single time they try to trot something like this out there, like, you could see them doing, and for our second intermission, we will have an LGBTQ pride parade. Fucking boo that too. That should be booed as well. Just to get the message out. We're done with it. We don't need to fucking inject this woke nonsense into every aspect of our life. We need areas of life that are not fucking corrupted by this shit.
This is why I was saying at the beginning, I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I know what it takes to go in front of a crowd.
You don't want to go to a place where you tell someone you can't dance, right? But I know what you mean.
It's just booing those people. This is nerve-wracking doing it, but at the same time, it has no place in fucking hockey. So this is why I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel, but I'm happy. As you said, I'm happy to see people pushing back to say this has no fucking place in Canadian culture. Because if there's one thing, I've asked this question so many times to people, and I've been asked that question, what the fuck does it mean to be Canadian? If there's one thing it could mean to be Canadian, is to love hockey. Like,
that's right.
This is... If there's something, if I had to choose one thing that makes us Canadian, is that the average Canadian does like fucking hockey. But at the same time, there are more than 2.3 million Indians in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 5% of almost 5% of the population in Canada is Indian.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
So are you surprised that you have East Indian dancing? No, because...
It's not surprising, but I don't like it. Like, if you want to have an East Indian festival where you set aside somewhere where if people want to see that, they go see it, I don't have a problem with that. But don't bring that shit into places where it doesn't belong. Don't bring that shit into fucking hockey, because that's our culture. You want to go to a hockey game? There's no fucking race requirement. You could be a stadium full of Indians, but be there to watch hockey. Be there to be part of that culture. Do your dancing somewhere else. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think it's also just important that as a society we start pushing back on woke. And so I will agree with that or applaud that everywhere I see it.
And this is why I'm saying, I'm like, hey, I kind of like it, but I don't like it. But at the same time, people are pushing back. Yeah, and this to me is what it is. As much as I disagreed when they booed Trump, they should have booed Trudeau. That was there too.
Yeah.
At the same time, I understand where this is coming from. People are just basically saying, "Hey, Indian dancing has no fucking place here,"
and certainly not in hockey. All right, and I think, and again, that booing, that's part of that vibe shift that we were just talking about a minute ago. You would have never saw that before, and now you do, and people are getting sick of it. And they're not afraid to say it either. That was a loud boo. That was a stadium-wide boo. And you love to see it. I don't think those specific dancers, I don't have any hate for them or anything like that. I would not have screamed at them or anything like that. But they weren't personally being booed. They happened to be unfortunate enough to be the ones doing the dancing. But what's being booed is this nonsense woke multicultural message being shoved down our throats every place we turn.
And now what I want to see is people go to Tim Hortons and start booing.
Yeah. Just boo. boo. Yeah, well, buy. It's like this place is for customers only, sir. Yell, buy a coffee, and then boo, boo,
boo.
Yeah. Like
Shit, I just rolled on my dog. I didn't realize she lays on my.
Oh, does she?
Just on the back. Oh yeah, because God forbid if I go somewhere, she needs to come too. So
Yeah,
she lays.
there
She lays on my chair, and I just went like this. All I saw is a big dog get up. I didn't even realize she was there. But yeah, people need. I wonder if people are going to start going to Tim Hortons and start booing.
Boo,
Boo.
boo. What do you think? We got another one or two more?
Oh no, but we have to talk about Trump. Let's talk about that right
let's
now.
do that.
Actually, since it's one of our main topics, I got a bunch. I don't know that it's going to take that long. It's just I found it to be interesting, not the story itself, but the people that are involved in it. That's what I found interesting. So, unless you've been sleeping under a rock like Rob was, you've heard that there is 3 judges in the U.S. federal court that said no to Trump's tariffs, calling them unconstitutional. So they have a problem with it. And now, at least, unlike all of his orders that are being blocked, they're not a district court. They're actually federal judges that should have the power.
It's starting to get up there, starting to trickle up to real power.
It's not, having a district judge that can block what the federal government is doing.
Yep.
You can call it whatever the fuck you want. You can think it goes against your constitution. Who gives a fuck? Go manage parking tickets, asshole. Like your jurisdiction is not a federal one. Fuck off. That's why we have a Supreme Court. That's why you have actual federal judges. Yep. So this is what's happening. So here's a quick video.
Below this morning to President Trump's economic policy, a federal court blocking most of his tariffs, calling them unconstitutional.
As NBC's Alice Barr explains, it comes as Elon Musk prepares to leave the administration behind.
A major shakeup in President Trump's tariff plans as a federal trade court ruled he had exceeded his authority and blocked most of the tariffs he's imposed so far, including the 10% rate on most trading partners, the massive reciprocal tariffs that were paused, the steepest levies on China, and the fentanyl-related tariffs on Canada and Mexico. A 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of International Trade said.
And before, this is the research I did. So when I saw that, I'm like, are they all liberal? Are they all Democrats? And I did some research, and that's what I found to be interesting. So Judge Jane A. Rustani, the first one that you don't see a picture, she was actually appointed to the court by Republican President Ronald Reagan back in 1983. So she's been around for fucking ever. I could not find any information as to her political affiliations. All I could find is that she's from San Francisco. So,
all right,
who knows, right?
Why do they not have a picture? You think that'll be almost like a requirement? You can't be a judge and hide your identity.
No. You can easily find a picture of her, but that black outline picture is very flattering compared to what she looks like.
Okay.
Then you have Judge Gary S. Katzman. He was appointed by Barack Obama.
Yeah.
So a bit more liberal than not. But what I found to be interesting is that Judge Timothy M. Reif was appointed by Donald Trump. So the 3 judges there, one was by Reagan in 1983, which he was a Republican.
That's who blocked it.
Yeah, those are 3 judges that are blocking, the 3 judges at the federal level that are blocking the tariff. So you have Donald Reagan that lives in California, so she might not be. Gary S. Katzman is liberal. But on the other side, you see a guy that was appointed by Donald Trump. So if you could have picked, you couldn't have picked a more diverse group of individuals, because one, you don't know. One, you would imagine he's Republican. The other one, you imagine he's Democrat. And one, you don't know. So it's like the perfect. If only she could have been a black judge, then we would have had all the flavors we needed. But I found it interesting when I saw those, because I assumed they were Democrats, and I'm like, oh shit, you assumed wrong.
Yeah, you would have thought so too, eh? But I mean, I do. Obviously, there are definitely activist judges, and we see them all the time. But I think it might be overblown how many there are, because they're the ones we hear about, right? They're just the regular ass judges who are just actually trying to apply the law. They don't make the news. It's always when some activist makes some absurd ruling that we get it. So I think it can seem like the judiciary is just corrupt and politically, and I think for the most part that's not necessarily true, and that's obviously a good thing.
This to me is like as good as it gets. However you feel about the tariff, good or bad, if they're judges, they're gonna actually stop it. Those are the judges you want. They're federal. They're part of the international trade. So they actually, those are the guys. If they have something to say,
I'd be interested to, exactly in what way? Because tariffs themselves can't be unconstitutional, right? So like, what is it about these ones that
it says it real fast in the video. So I'll let it go, but you'll see. They tell you what's unconstitutional is not necessarily the tariffs themselves, but the way they're being applied by executive order. That's the problem that they have.
Said the Trump administration could not rely on emergency powers cited in his executive orders to assume unbounded tariff authority without input from Congress. The White House immediately appealed, with a spokesperson saying it's not for unelected judges to decide how to address a national emergency. Shortly before the ruling, President Trump defended his tariff strategy against a new Wall Street term, referencing that he, quote, chickens out with frequently changing rates.
You call that chickening out? It's called negotiation. You set a number.
Attorneys general from Arizona and Oregon led the legal challenge, calling the tariffs an illegal abuse of power and the court ruling a victory for working families. It comes as close Trump advisor Elon Musk ended his time as a special government employee one day after criticizing the president's one big beautiful budget bill.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly. Which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing.
The bill that passed through the House includes massive tax cuts and immigration spending increases, and some Republican senators say not enough spending cuts. And as
it's the machine, man. It's the Borg, the U.S. federal budget. Elon Musk took on an impossible task. I think he was a bit idealistic. You're never going to cut spending. They're addicted to it, absolutely addicted to it.
Just look at us. Literally,
and we're the same way.
We're 400, what was it? 456 billion?
Yeah.
So more than $450 billion. Carney said he'd do better, that he would put the budget under control. He's spending as much money as Trudeau is. That's without counting the $32 billion that already got approved outside of the parliament. So add that to his $450 billion, and add the $20 billion that he was supposed to collect from the tariffs. So it's not just $468 billion or whatever the fuck it was. Attack another $52 billion on top of that. That's what he's really talking about spending. So
Detective
he's not.
I don't think he's a conservative either. In fact, I know he isn't.
He's not a Republican.
No. Well, he's not officially a Republican.
No,
he's not a conservative.
Oh, no. That guy only ran for the Republican. He said it in the 80s or the 90s when I think it was Oprah that asked him if he would run, if he'd ever consider running to be president. And he said, if I did, I'd run as a Republican. So even back then, but yet he voted Democrats until very recently.
Well, yeah. So, I've never ever thought he was ideological at all. I don't think he's anything. I think he cares about himself. First and foremost, I think he wants to obviously do things that will benefit him. And you could say he obviously has his pet issues, his pet concerns. I think he probably does he does care about the United States. Secondary to himself. I think he's fundamentally out for Donald Trump. And if he can help the United States as well as that, I think he'll do that. But honestly, in some ways, I think that might be why he's so effective and why he's actually in the best position to actually change some of the things that is broken in the United States government, is because he's not ideological. It's because he doesn't really give a shit about a lot of these sacred cows one way or the other.
And I agree with you, because I can tell you, as somebody that's closer to a Republican than I am anything else, and I spent all of my time in the U.S. with Republicans.
Yep.
He is not a Republican. He basically went Republican because he wouldn't have been able to run as a Democrat.
Yes.
The only people that would accept the way that he is are Republicans because they needed a change from Obama. But he wouldn't have been able to run as a Democrat today, even less than when Obama was there. But it was just not possible.
There's no way he would have been able to.
But he's not a Republican. He is not. If he's not a Christian, he doesn't stand against abortion. He doesn't stand against anything the Republican outside of maybe trying to reduce spending. Obviously, trying, because it definitely is not happening. So he's not a Republican. All you can say is a bit more common sense. Maybe he's more. I would say somewhere in the middle. He's more lefty than in the middle. He's just very careful about what he says to not offend the Republicans.
Yeah. And so Joe's got an interesting comment here. He says Trump is an opportunist who stole the voting bloc. The inheritance class has been dumbing down over the past 40 years from the GOP establishment. Yeah, I mean, I don't entirely disagree. There's been a dumbing down of that bloc. I think there's also a lot of resentment in the working class, especially in the Rust Belt, at the way they've been treated when all their millions of really good middle class jobs were shipped out to China. And I think a lot of people, like from the coastal elites and cities, were looking at that in 2016, and they're like, I don't understand. Don't they realize Trump is going to destroy everything? And I think a lot of those people are saying, yeah, we know it. That's why we voted for him, because they're so fucking furious. They just want the guy who they think is going to fucking burn it to the ground, because they have been treated so disgustingly by the American elites. And Joe continues. He said, and he stole that vote by trying to make all the empty promises the GOP had been selling into reality. And that's a great point, because especially what I think of when I hear that, I'm thinking immigration, right? The Republicans have been pounding the immigration drum for decades, and that's why a lot of these people are supporting them, but they don't actually really want to fix immigration. They love the cheap labor. They love seeing like what we see up here in Canada with the temporary workers. And then Trump came along, and he's actually going to do what they said they were going to be doing, and they don't like that at all. They're like, no, Donald, we don't really want to get rid of illegal immigration. And
they don't really want to bring back jobs in the U.S. either.
No, exactly.
They don't want to do that. And that goes for the left and the right. They don't want to. That's why I found it interesting to see a judge that he appointed, a judge that Obama appointed, and a judge that old school Republicans, real Republicans like Ronald Reagan appointed.
Yeah. He's like the fucking godfather of the current Republican movement, right? Like
it's like JFK would have assigned a judge that's still alive, right?
Yeah, exactly. It would have been. It's that for the lefties. It's the same thing.
For the lefties, for the righties, it's the same thing. So it's just I found it interesting because he's pissing off everybody, and at the end of the day, if he is pissing off everybody, that means he's doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Because I piss off people from all sides. It doesn't matter. So
yeah, I mean, I kind of, that's how I feel about too. And Joe, I know that you've got a strong Trump hate, and I also don't like him much either. But what the vibe I get from your sort of politics, I kind of feel like
he just doesn't like him.
He would appeal to you in a sort of way as that sort of guy, the only kind of a guy who's gonna just fucking burn this motherfucker to the ground. Because if you get a guy, don't matter if they're left or right, Democrat or Republican, if they are within the system, within the establishment, and I know in many ways Donald Trump is. Certainly he's part of the global elite billionaires club establishment, but he does not fit with this, political establishment of America. And in a lot of ways, he doesn't give a shit about a lot of the things that the Republicans and the Democrats do, even if they pretend not to. The stuff that the Democrats and Republicans pretend to fight about, Donald Trump's actually doing something about it.
That's why blue collar likes Donald Trump so much, because he does speak to them. Like, that's why they like it. That's why they voted for him. It wasn't a Republican versus Democrat thing. They just like him. But at the same time, I'd be curious for Joe to answer that question. You don't have to answer it today, but
yeah,
if Obama would have been doing what Trump is doing, would you be mad at it?
Yeah, Yeah, that's a good.
Because that's a thing, right? Because a lot of the things that Trump, like you mentioned, immigration, that's a problem that Obama would have had the power to do. He would have the power. He had the power. He deported a lot more people than Trump has deported. Yet it wasn't a problem when he was doing it. So if he would have fixed the wall, if he would have fixed fentanyl, if he would have tried to get the tariffs under control, like to get perceived inequalities in the way that free trade agreement has been fucking the US over the past decades. If a Democrat would have done that, if Obama would have done that, Joe, would you be as mad as you are at Trump, or would it be okay? Because this is what I'm seeing a lot in the US, is a lot of common sense people cannot just get over the fact that they don't like Trump. They can't separate themselves to say, you know what? If it wasn't Trump, if it was somebody else that was doing it with a bit more class, somebody that I like more, would you still have a problem with it? And the same thing as, that Andrew Tate I was saying earlier, I'm capable of looking at him and say, you know what? I don't really like your attitude. I don't like what you're promoting, but I can still say that there's a 10-20% of shit that you say that I'm like, bro, you know what? Yeah, it's like, I agree, because I've said the same thing before. But do I agree with the personality? No, I don't. But that doesn't mean he's wrong on everything. And if it was somebody else that I like that would say the same thing, would it be more palatable? Of course it would. Of course it would, right?
Yeah, I agree.
By the way, I have to run. I have a ultrasound.
Oh, interesting.
The wife. Yeah, we're gonna finally have an ultrasound here, because in the US it's cheap, right? We had two or three done. We can go anywhere. It's like, hey, there's a clinic right here. We go. It costs like $80, $90 to have an ultrasound. You show up, you leave, it's done. Here, you need to plan it. It takes 2 months to get one. You haven't had an ultrasound and you're 7.5 months pregnant. We've had 2. Chill the fuck down. Chill the fuck down.
Joe said, we'll just take this comment and then we'll get going.
Yep.
Obama broke my heart 10 minutes after I voted for him. He kept Gates, appointed Geithner, and killed healthcare before debate even started. And that's what I mean. Like, you're never going to, people who are sort of radical or want real radical changes, they're never going to get it when it's people within the system. And Obama, for, whether you love him or hate him, he's absolutely a product of the system. They're just, they're not ever going to change the system that they represent, that
gave them $100 million.
Yeah. And
let's be honest.
Yeah. And Donald Trump, like, I know we've talked about this before, like, in some ways, yes, he's part of the system or the elites or the establishment just by dint of being a billionaire. But in a lot of ways, in that political system, that the one that we're talking about, the one that, sucks at the teeth of the defense, or industrial military complex, that stuff, he's not part of that. He's not, like, he's outside of that. And that's why in a lot of ways they're terrified of him, because he's doing things that and you know that he's not, because the things he's doing, if he was part of the system, he would be doing them. He's doing things Obama would never do. Right, left-wing progressive things Obama would never do. And he's doing things Republican, like, there's no real, because as Gaines says, he's not really ideological at all. He's not a conservative or a liberal. He's a Trumpist. Donald Trump is a Trumpist first and foremost. That's his politics.
Yep. And it's the same thing that's happening with Elon Musk. You can't tell what he stands for. He was there to do a job because he seemed to believe in it. And the fact that he's stepping down right now after the bill kind of proves that he somewhat cared. I don't know if it was a personal care, if he really wanted to help Americans, but he's not interested in doing the job, and he's stepping down before it breaks the relationship between him and Trump. You got to respect. You got to respect the fact that he's just saying, you know what, I can't do this. Let's shake hands.
And I think he saw the writing on the wall. I think he saw that he was never going to.
It was never going to work. You can't have two leaders like those two. They're both egomaniacs.
What's the saying? Too many chiefs, not enough Indians, kind of thing.
Oh wow, that's so racist.
Yeah, I know. Technically, it is.
Saying by two white guys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right.
Detective Gaines, congrats on expanding your family. Thanks, bro. Thank you, bro. But I'll go.
Hey guys,
so if you want to close it off.
Yeah, Nico's got to run for his ultrasound.
My wife's ultrasound asshole. I can't have kids. Do you not know I can't be pregnant?
Men can give birth.
Yes,
according to the new religions, the new gods. Guys, thank you for being here and spending the afternoon with us today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us, and we will always appreciate that. As you've watched the show, if you like what you hear, if you want to support us, the best way to do that is to become a member on the YouTube channel. That will give you priority comments, and it will also give you access to the Discord server. And you'll just support free and independent media in a space like this where I'm going to start saying that. It sounds fancy,
I like
eh?
it. No, but I like it.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? Because we are media, regardless of
that's what we do.
Yeah, and we are absolutely free and independent. And I think shows like this are the face of the future of media, and I think they deserve and should be supported. And also you can be part of the community here, and that's always if you've stuck around, you can see I think we have something special here. So that's probably the best way you can support us through that way. And other than that, guys, have a great and safe Thursday night, and we will catch you for the Friday show tomorrow.
Peace out.